Well, hello and good evening. Once again, it is Grant Gill standing in for a less than well Zach Caban. So big shout out to Zach Caban tonight. I think he's had a little spell in hospital, but we wish him all the best. I'm sure he'll pop up with a comment here or there. But Nürburgring GT4, the Orbic GT4 Championship. And this should be an absolute cracker tonight. We've got 34 cars in the server. We've got Josh Suino in race control. Big thanks to Josh Suino. And we're looking forward to some more awesomeness. Round 3, of course, of the championship already. And it is the full Grand Prix layout with no chicane. We've got 27 degree ambient temperature, 42% humidity, cloudy, and 17 kilometre an hour winds, just about from due north, just slightly west of north. Track temperature 40 degrees. There we go, 5.07 kilometres long, 620 metre altitude. So we're all good for some fantastic racing. 40 degree track temperature. These cars will be skipping and skidding all over the place. I don't know if you've got it set up, Adam, but perhaps we'll run through our sponsors off the top, because I think we missed them last time. But of course, Orbic bringing you the GT4. Waste Options bringing us the GT3, and they've been with us for a couple of seasons. Thank you very much to them. And Orbic, of course, bringing us the GT4. Blackout Electrical Solutions bring us the Porsches on Thursday night, indeed. And Login Systems bringing us the Enduro Series, Astute Finance Insurance and Wealth in East Brisbane, and Fisher & Dorr Lawyers and Flash Graphics. So here we go. Let's have a look at, I think we're getting close to running some points. Look how close all of this is. A couple of Mercs up front. Greg Favell, 89 points, leading out. Sam Muir, 84, tied with Sam Chapman, also on 84. 83 for Jared Knight in 4th place. And Nick Fodiatis, he'll be pretty happy in 5th place with 82. Gary Cousins' teammate right behind him on 81. Jordan Malcolm, 76. Then we'll go Anthony Visma, Trent Lavis, and Warwick Sharp take us back to the top 10. You've seen the rest of them there. Let's have a look at the grid. And my goodness me, Sam Chapman, he give him a free t-shirt and he goes nuts and takes pole position. Well done to Sam Chapman, one of our broadcast partners, with Michael Hammond right alongside him, just a blink of an eye behind, and looking a bit like a Porsche circuit tonight. Top 4 all Porsches. Jordan Malcolm and Gary Cousins on 2nd row. Trent Lavis, good to see Trent back in the Aston Martin, and Greg Favell in row 3. Sam Muir, Ollie Patterson, row 4. Paul Wood and Dale Sharp, row 5. Over the page we go, and it's Adam Burhop and Nick Fodiatis, row 6. Liam Banks and Ed Zamora, row 7. Nick Wood and Anthony Visma, row 8. Jared Knight and Alan Dawson, row 9. Not the qualifying Jared would have been looking for. Russ Green, Joe Baldwin, hello Joe, row 10. Then we go Stephen Lawrence, Dale Jeffries, row 11, Robert McGrath and Pete Matson, sponsor of the series, row 12, Daniel Correa and Damien Triple Bunger name in 13, Brett Bradbury, Aidan Schultz, Greg Paget, Brendan Van Ryn taking us down to row 15, and then we've got Michael Schroeder, Greg Lenazik, Philip Howe and Robert Culbraith and Matty Skulls. So looking forward, and Jacob Hughes in there as well. As I said, big thanks to Josh Suino carrying the big stick and the eagle eye looking for indiscretions. So I hope to see some messages pop up over the course of the evening to give us a few ideas of what's going on. So Porsche 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we get the first of the Aston Martins, a couple of Mercs. And here we go, getting closer and closer. Come down to the far end here. We'll just get around this nasty little, not quite a hairpin, but nasty little turn, and look for Chapman to probably jump out pretty quick, I expect. And we line up down the BMW straight, the Fruda Forum, and it is Chapman who gets away with Hammond going down the inside. It looks like Jordan Malcolm in the purple car there. And then Gary Cousins, so it's steady as she goes so far. They've done a good job getting in there, that tricky little first corner, and then this one, sequence of slightly off-camber corners, braking and decelerating, turning, all at the same time, cold tyres on a bloody hot track, so around they go. We're looking at Sam Muir in one of the purple 19X cars, MX Wraps, I should say, and Chapman in the Golf Porsche out in front with Michael Hammond right with him, and then Jordan Malcolm. So certainly Chapman finding himself in very high company. Ollie Patterson in that Hot Wheels car. Very, very nice livery for anyone, and I should think everyone who's a part of iRacing has probably had a big growing up phase of having Hot Wheels cars and that orange track and the little joiners and connectors and the loops and all the rest of it. Russ Green looking at there, Sam Chapman back out in front.
No, he's I think he's got a net code. He's
oh no, Chapo. I think he's been running on his
laptop.
Yeah, with wireless as well. So Michael Hammond inherits the lead. Jordan Malcolm in 2, Gary Cousins and Trent Lavis up in the 4th. Everyone's up 1 spot. But with Dale Sharp up 3 in 7th place, so he's the mover with the first of the BMWs, the first of just a few BMWs. Of course, Brendan Van Ryn is the only one of our drivers in a McLaren. Husband starting to have a look. There's Nick Fodiatis, 10th place. He's up 2. And down they come again. Certainly looks strong for the Porsches this week, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, in practice we're pretty sure like this is definitely a Porsche from the track. Like there's a couple of straights, but in the Aston you don't even pull 6th gear around here, so no chance of letting the horses out of the cage. So it's definitely a Porsche friendly track. So but it's still fairly close though. So it's just a little trickier with the. Well, I'm not sure with the Merc. The Merc's pretty much an all-rounder car, so it can pretty much do anything. The Beamer's a little bit harder to handle, but she's got some pretty pokes, so it might be a little tricky for Sharpie. But yeah, no, compared to the Aston to the Porsche around here, it did feel like there was a lot harder to extract the pace than the Porsche guys were getting.
Right. Yeah.
It's one of those things. It was harder to get, but eventually Trent did start to match them. But it was a little bit. It was a lot easier for the Porsches to get there and find their pace, whereas Trent had to really search for it and try and tweak the setup.
He's a bit of a wizard, old Trento. So he certainly gets more out of that Aston Martin than anyone else. The next Aston Martin is Paul Wood, down in 11th spot. Paul's often been a Porsche driver, but choosing the Aston. 203.536. Michael Hammond takes the fastest lap of the race last time around because he was the first one in the line and wasn't checked up, apart from Chapo just magically disappearing. And he's starting to build a little bit of a gap there. He's 0.8 of a second out. Gary Cousins a further 1 second back from there, so starting to stretch out those first couple of cars. But Jordan Malcolm, he's certainly a high performer, high achiever here. Yes, Sam, we're feeling for you. Maybe I said too many good things about you in the intro, and you suffered the wrath of Grant. But here we go, getting down towards the end of this again.
So also, I think Jordan's going to actually please himself because still about 10 minutes ago in qualifying. Now he was still back end of the top 10, if not an outside top 10 in quali. So he's managed to get a last minute lap in to get him towards the front, and now he's playing dividends and getting a race with Gazza and Mikey up here, leading the Porsche trifecta at the front, with the Aston and Mercs trying to bridge the gap.
Yeah, so if we just run through the top 10 at the moment, there's Hammond from Malcolm, Cousins, then Lavis, then Greg Favell. Greg Favell, leader of the championship. That was a big off track there for, a long way off the track for Trent Lavis as he went through there. Then we've got Sam Muir, Dale Sharp, Ollie Patterson, Adam Burhop and Nick Fodiatis. That's your top 10. Just coming up to 5 minutes in, and if you missed the intro, a big shout out to Zach Caban, who's recuperating at home, and we wish him all the best. We hope to see him back, his golden tonsils back by the microphone on Thursday evening with Daniel Saar's coverage of of production cars and Porsches.
And this week it should be right. One little oversight, we forgot to actually put Daniel in the Porsche league, so he couldn't get in. And then, yeah, with the Spa 24-hour over the weekend, iRacing had restricted some of the website features, and the invite wasn't getting through for some reason. So, fortunately, last week we're on all green lights, and we should be back up to a Thursday night quality broadcast. Ollie Patterson repeating his great performance last week, sending the fastest lap last time by in the little Porker, so putting lots of pressure on Sharpie.
Yeah, Sharp up 3 spots. He's a tragic for a BMW, as old Dale Sharp. And running the Orbic livery there. I'm not sure that Pete sponsored him, but he's just doing it out of respect.
Dale's done it on his own bat. He's just stepped up and said, I'll go full support of the club sponsors. So good on him.
Good on him indeed. Dale's been around the club for almost probably as long as I have. Well, here we go. It's starting to look a little bit spicy here. Adam Burhop, who had a very eventful week last week, and he'll have a very watchful eye on his performance this evening. But draws up alongside Dale Sharp. Sorry, too many words. And look at Nick Fodiatis, he's just going, I'll have a piece of this, please. I'll use this fantastic braking of my little Porsche. And Burhop does get through. Sharp as close as you like, and this will give Fodiatis a bit of a run through there, I think. And Paulwood is tucked right in there behind as well. So very willing group of participants here, all around that 7, 8, 9, 10 mark. And the more these guys battle, the more they're going to draw Nick Wood, Jared Knight, Liam Banks. Good to see Liam out on track. We're hoping he'll be in to cover Zach's shift for the GT3s this evening. And so Liam in the very bright... I'm not even going to try and describe the colours on that one.
Pink, cyan and lime green, I'd go.
Oh, we'd go magenta, would we? Because like the Sydney Sixers, it's not pink. It's clearly.
Well, it could be just the RGB colour scheme. Yeah,
it's certainly reminiscent of what you might find on the footpath after a big night out. All and doing a wonderful job supporting the racing and a pretty fair peddler as well, I've got to say. All right, let's have a look. Michael Schroeder here in the Accelerate Sim Racing. He'll just run a bit wide there, will he? Oh, he just, driver in front of him didn't know he was there and just closed him off. He gets out of that pretty well after all of that. The car in front of him did not. All right, Brendan Van Ryn running in the McLaren, the Sol McLaren, and we'll get in here and just loop it around. No, a little bit wide, a little bit too much grass. He's done very well. Well, spoke too soon. Looked like he'd done very well, but he had no control over that whatsoever, so very unfortunate. All right, who's this? Paul Wood disappearing from our screens, and I think that may have had something to do with that incident completely. I think that's Jared Knight, isn't it, in the black. There's been some stuff going on. Trent Lavis is just dropping down the field, unless he...
Gaz!
Oh, he's off onto the grass and then recorrects on...
and that's Jordan Malcolm. So Gaz has got the grass. Watch that.
Oh, and just nips Burhop as he went round. Trent, I think, is certainly unfortunate to have received that.
So, Gaz just literally tries to leave a bit of room, touches the grass, loses it, touches Trent, and then poor old Jordan, nowhere to... Oh,
no. So that's third, fourth, and fifth jump way down the field now.
Second, third, and fourth, really.
So, yeah, true. Very, very unfortunate, but now promotes Patterson up into fourth. Let's go through the listers. Hammond from Muir, then Cousins, Gary Cousins, Oliver Patterson, Adam Burhop into fifth. Dale Sharp's found himself all the way up into sixth now. Fodiatis 7, Nick Wood 8, Liam Banks 9, and Alan Dawson 10. It's normally not too bad, the old GT4s, but in the middle of the pack, that's where you do not want to be, and that's where I generally find myself, and you just end up being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I certainly used to, but to take out 2, 3, and 4 at that stage, just through a clumsy, inadvertent error, no maliciousness whatsoever.
No, it's just an unfortunate situation there. Just misjudging, a bit like our old mate Perez did in the first lap of practice on the weekend, and all of a sudden you're apologising profusely.
Yes, indeed. Having said that and seen that, look at Michael Hammond. He's disappearing off into the distance. 5.03 seconds lead. He's certainly broken the toe. There's no chance of that for the time being. And Michael will just settle into some time trialling through here. Last lap round 2:05.658. And so there's some other cars travelling about that same. Adam Burhop's quick as well, but he's got a good lead now.
The other interesting thing, though, other than obviously probably the first lap, given that Mikey was leading, which is basically a default fastest lap, he hasn't really set the fastest lap. We've had 3 people I've seen, 3 different cars, set the fastest lap so far this race. And the last time it was actually Sam Muir in the Mercedes. So the Mercedes starting to find its feet now and getting some pace as the race unfolds.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of drafting assisting there. Who's mate Checo warming down his seat, Perez. Yes, indeed. Look at Pete Matson having a... Sorry, Pete, this will end in tears in a moment. Having a great run in 12th spot, up 12 places. So the Orbic Porsche. Glad to see that the bright pink wheels have made their way to the back of the garage, and something a little bit more complimentary to the colour schemes popped up on his vehicle. Right in front of Pete is Dale Jeffries, one of the Mercs there. And behind Peter is Robert McGrath. So it looks like a little bit of a train building up behind the 4 of these.
Hold on to it, Bradley.
Oh, my goodness me. That was a tricky one. Of course, it's on an old track today. It's 40 plus degrees in the on the track.
Oh, yeah. It is very slippery. Like, it's weird. Like with the GT4s, normally your out laps you can tell with the cold tyres. But when we were practicing yesterday with a 40-degree track, your out lap actually felt like the nicest lap because the tyres were still cold compared to the track. But once the track temp got into those tyres, it was skating city. Yeah,
a bit like the old supercars. The first couple of laps is the best you'll ever get out of those tyres, and certainly the NASCARs are much the same as well, where degradation was very, very quick. Oh, into the pits, dive.
It's who's that?
Skulls, I think.
Was this? Yeah, the old stock cars we used to run on the Friday nights, they definitely were the case where as soon as you pulled out of the pits, that was you basically just trundle around on your quali to make sure you get that cold tyre lap for your quali. But
we had some off-track stuff up. Jacob Hughes, sorry, just up the track, Adam. Yep. But the stock cars, yeah, they were shockers, certainly.
Yeah, but the current gen cars, though, are completely different. They have really bad tyre warm. It takes them like 3 or 4 laps to get tyre temp.
Okay. So that's Jacob Hughes, and he went off with, as I said, the other bloke that I mentioned. I'm
Dale
sure
Sharpie.
Dale Sharp, yeah. What's happening?
Sharpie's gone for a big move.
Big dive down the inside.
Yeah, just
didn't leave room on the inside.
He hasn't been able to hold tight enough line, and they've both just met. Yes.
Oh, we're keeping Josh in race control pretty busy, I should think, over the course of the night already. And any time you've got 30 plus cars, 35 cars on the grid, down to 33 now, it's always going to be a danger. Okay, Sam Muir starting to take some ground out of Michael Hammond. Michael just settling in, maybe a little bit of tyre saving and certainly a little bit of fuel saving. So that caps down to 3.8. That's come down very quickly. Michael might have just missed a braking marker a little bit there, but that's Muir, then Patterson, then Burhock, the 3 cars in view. And you can see Michael getting visibly closer. At 3.8 seconds is still not in race control, still under training. I see, Josh. I'm sure you'll take notes and pass them on to club stewards perhaps. But yeah, it would have been a busy night for you there, mate. You'll need maybe a piece of paper and maybe a couple of spare pencils as well. But good battle going on here. We're past half race distance already, 14:46 into 25 minutes. And Pete Matson there travelling in 12th spot, as we saw. Ed Zamora and Dale Jeffries, Robert McGrath, they've all jumped in the pits now, as well as Steph Lawrence. So they're just splitting the race up into 2. So they might have taken a little less fuel at the start to try and get some track position, or they might have just thought, I'll get out of here for the moment, get out of whatever traffic I'm in, and get this pit stop out of the way, and hope to gain some track positions during the course of the remainder of the race.
So we've seen in the first 2 races this season, our old mate Nick Fadiatis has been the wizard with the fuel stops. Almost consistently got the shortest stop and making some places up. So we have a good benchmark, because he wasn't too far behind Gaz, who's currently the leading pitted. So it'd be interesting to see where he comes out compared to Gaz when he does finally do his stop.
Copy that. So, yeah, 3.6 seconds. That's stabilised a bit between Hammond and Muir. These boys are not battling one another. They're not just showing the nose and taking some lunges. The minute they start to do that, Michael will disappear off into the distance. Burhop looks like he's just getting left behind a little bit with Ollie Patterson in that really bright orange and yellow Hot Wheels vehicle. Right on the tail of Muir, so it'll be interesting to see how they work that one out. Sharp
Paddle and Dales.
Yeah, starting to make a bit of a recovery here, so he did a good job there, 19th, passing Robert McGrath there, I think it was.
That was Dale versus Dale.
Dale Jeffries. Dale on Dale. All right,
Mikey's in.
So looking at Paul Wood down in 20th spot. There's Jake Karlovsky just popping in and liking the broadcast. Good evening, Jake. Good to have you on board. Yeah, Michael Hammond, he's dropping down the field a little bit. Adam Burhop's in as well, so that was from third place. From first and third, the boys in there. So it'll be interesting to see where they come out. Just about Pete Matson's area. Sam Muir now the leader, and look at the handling of that Porsche. A little bit deep there, a little bit wide, but he's doing a good job, Patterson, and lining him up. Be interesting to see which one of these don't get too much of that. And watch out on the right here, because you can end up spearing down the hill and across the grass. All right, tip it in. Really annoying corner, this one. It just drags you around, as is the bottom one around the hairpin down the bottom here. But Muir, half a second, 0.55. Get in here, turn it in. Look at the different lines they're taking. Big gain for Patterson in there. And Muir down 0.4 of a second. They take a little bit of the outside curve there. Unsettles the car a little bit. You don't want too much on the inside there. And again, out over the curb, wind it up here. Look out for the grass on the outside here as well, because it'll trick you up. A lot of corners here you have to be really patient on. This is another one. Get in here, get the nose in close to that apex, and then wind it up. Try and get a drag down here. All you're doing is looking at the top of the hill when you're running the various chicanes. It's often a really good spot down here. You can see it closing up, but it's the longer, more gentle zigzag through there. And into the pits, both of them come. Or will that be an unsafe entry by Muir? It must be a little bit more relaxed here than certainly you try that at Red Bull Ring, and you've got 40 seconds stop and hold there. All right, this will be interesting. This is 1 and 2 into the pits. Michael Hammond down in 9th spot at the moment. We'll keep an eye on him. Nick Fadiatis coming in as well. So and a whole bunch of them. This must be about the limit of
Nick Wood's managed to get an extra lap out of it.
Well done, Nick Wood.
The Beamer, there seems to be able to be a little bit less thirsty in the Beamer, which is an interesting turn of events.
Yes.
Fadiatis to stop here. So we got some stop times. It's 7.9. 9.7. Oh, so Nick not the fastest stop this week. So Muir fastest to 7.9 so far.
So let's see where they all come out. Looks like Nick Wood obviously is out in front. Michael Hammond still out in front of Sam Muir, but only by
the gap has closed right up.
2 seconds. Yeah, they've made a gain on him there.
With second half of the pit stop. So second half saved the pit stop.
That helped.
Yeah, so it's just definitely close that gap up.
So is that everyone pitted now? I expect
other than Nick Wood.
Nick Wood, who's out in front. Here's Burhop closing in on the back of Gary Cousins again. And the Porsche still looks so little compared to the Merc and the BMs, doesn't it? And the McLaren's even smaller again, but we don't have much to worry about the McLarens except for Brendan Van Ryn. Looks like Burhop's got a little bit of pace on him for the moment. And Nick Wood doing a good job out in front. He's 22.6 seconds to the good of these guys, of certainly the leaders. And just looking down the field, we've got Joe Baldwin up in 14th place and 6th spot in the Aston. Daniel Correa, Saar. So that's Daniel Saar, who's doing our broadcast Thursday night. He's up 10. Matthew Scholes is up 19 into 16th spot. So great run from Matty Scholes. I'm suspecting he didn't get much of a quali lap in, and that's facilitated a large. Yeah. Nick Wood now in the pits, as is Brendan Van Ryn. But Brendan, I think, will have been in a lap earlier. Perhaps because he's way down in 32nd spot. So you look at the different performance. It looks a lot of sliding across the track too. The cars really not digging into the track as they'd like. Robert McGrath having a good run here, and Stefan Lawrence having a look down the inside. Nice work from him down into this relaxed chicane at the end of the lap. And he gets that done. Will look like some smoke there. Maybe a little bit too much curb for someone going through there. But Stefan Lawrence, good job there on Dale Jeffries. Hammond just 1 second ahead of Sam Muir now. Sam's starting to close down the distance. Here comes Dale Sharp down the inside, so he takes a piece out of Matthew Scholes. And Dale down 7 spots from his starting position. Oh, hanging out around the outside. You've got to tuck back from down here. Don't take too much of the outside because that'll spin you around like a record, baby.
He managed to hold around the outside almost all the way, just that last corner there. If he could have held it, then he finally earns the inside, but unfortunately that tighter corner was in the favour of Matty.
Yeah, and you just don't get the drive off the corner. You're waiting for it to come round, so who have we got here? Burhop with Nick Wood. Nick's made a long way up from where he was earlier on. He's right on the hammer.
Nick Wood, to get an extra lap out of the tank, he managed to do a 6.4 second stop. So he saved 2 to 3 seconds everybody.
Here we go. Have a look as we come down to the end. Nice move down the inside.
Oh, big net code.
There was net code before it, but I think that was going to happen anyway. Burhop was drifting across into that. Oh no, Burhop, put your brakes on. And that is really unfortunate. He's back on and back going, so that's unfortunate for him. But and Favel's just got by Fodiatis as we look at it right there. Favel doing a good job. He's in 5th spot. Michael Hammond just 0.7 of a second in front of Sam Muir. So Sam Muir is not letting him get away, and nor is Nick Fodiatis wanting Favel to get away. Nice wide entry into there. A little bit slower. Favel was able to get in and around. Looks like Favel's got a bit of pace on him for the moment. So you look here at this point, he starts coming across. I think that would make contact with or without netcode, but certainly netcode initiated the contact, which then did bring Wood back across in front of him. But there was a drift across the track to start there, so hard to tell. I'm one of those people who really hates it when everyone just calls an accident netcode, because often you can see if there's going to be contact anyway. Often it's just that little bit earlier than you might expect. Sometimes it wouldn't, but more often than not, it can be apparent. 20 seconds to go, so this race has come and gone in the blink of an eye. Will Mikey get round for another lap? I don't think so.
He's at the coming onto the back straight now, so.
Right. So is this the final lap then?
It will be.
Or Yes, yeah. So, oh, look at that dive, Bradbury from the Bean Boss racing car on Pete Matson. That was a pretty significant move, and Pete just wanting to get away without scratching that beautiful Porsche. But here's Hammond, just 0.6 of a second in front of Muir. Muir's done a great job to keep him in touch in that the big Merc. But round he comes, winds it up, and oh, I hope he's not low on fuel because Muir's really closing him down quickly. Michael Hammond takes out the win from Sam Muir. Ollie Patterson, great result for Gaza Cousins. And Favell will take 5th from Nick Fodiados in 6th. Then you've got Alan Dawson and Jared Knight, which is 7 and 8. Alan Dawson up 11 spots. That's terrific work from him. Russ Green, Ed Zamora. No, I missed Liam Banks. Then Russ Green, Ed Zamora. Joe Baldwin in 12th spot. We're skipping a few here, but Daniel Saar, Paul Wood, Matty Skulls, Dale Sharp, Brett Bradbury, Pete Matson across the line. Now I've got to think of someone to give a T-shirt to as well. I'm more than happy to receive some input from you, Adam, as well. But that was a fantastic race, and over and done in the blink of an eye. 25 minutes flies when you're having fun. So I think we got down to Maddo. Robert McGrath was 19. Nick Wood, 20, after that unfortunate coming together. Carl Jeffries, 21. Jordan Malcolm all the way down in 22 after being unsurreptitiously, absolutely punted from the end of the straight. And here's Trent Lavis. He stuck it out down in 26th after...
that's 26 is the first of the no points. So
that's nil point.
So that's unfortunate for Trent.
Yeah, and who was it? Who was it in second place that got punted out?
That was Jordan Malcolm,
yeah. Alrighty, so some of the boys popping into the booth already, and Joe Baldwin, welcome in tonight for round 3. If you hadn't heard, our good mate Zach Cabins just on the recovery from a very small operation prior to the weekend. So you've got me again in here, and how did your evening go, Joe? It looked like you couldn't quite get the quali pace into the car, but to finish up 12th spot, 8 up 8, that's a fair effort if you're asking me.
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a broken record for me with qualifying. I can't qualify. It's not something I can do, but I'm actually surprised at the pace I had in the race. A couple of the teammates, Woodsy and Trent, and that got together and put a great setup together for the Aston Martin. And it worked a treat, made it a lot easier to drive. And I wasn't the fastest guy out there, but I was consistent, which was, and I think, I can't remember what I qualified at, was just in the 5s, I think, and I did 5.4 in the race. So
you did.
But it was consistent and it was easy to drive, which made it a lot easier. I was in a bit of a gaggle of cars there with Russ Green. I think had a bit of an incident earlier on and was back running with myself and a couple of the other guys there, and I knew he was faster, so I thought I'd pit, get the fuel on and just run my own race rather than trying to battle with anybody. And and it worked out really well in the end. So but Mikey Hammond, what a drive!
I'll say.
He, after a week off, he turned in another year older. I think he's about 64 now. Don't tell him I said that. But, happy birthday for Mikey last week. That's why he was absent. But, Mikey, Sam and Oliver Patterson, I think he's fairly new to the club, but he's clearly got pace. He's up there in 3rd, but I don't know how much the shenanigans at the end played a part in it. But
poor old Sam dropped his internet connection, so from a fantastic quali and leading the race out, he was then he's just joined in with us, and hopefully he's got all the naughty words out of his mouth, and we don't have to get the bar of soap out. But
we've all been there. He's just got to feed the hamster, Grant. That's all.
Hey, is that a colloquialism for something?
Well, you got to feed the hamster, keep the internet going, right?
Indeed. Just on your qualifying, is it you just can't get a consistent lap, or is it with so many cars in the field? Is it tricky to get a clean run?
Yeah, that's probably part of it. I don't I don't tend to team up with anybody and use draft to get my laps. I like to just go out, do my thing, not get in anybody's way, and just, and I try and, the start of that race was hectic. There was being right in the mid-pack. There was just cars everywhere, and I think I went to the left on the initial start, which kept me out of the way of, I think there was a little bit of incident there. I can't quite remember. It was a long sort of race. There was a lot into it, but it was just about staying out of trouble and not rubbing boards with anybody. And I think that I only had 2X for the whole race, and they were both off tracks at the chicane, but also picked up a slowdown on lap 1, and 1.2 second slowdown, I lost 7 spots.
Yeah, that'll do it early on and peace when everything.
Yeah, this is here now. It would not clear the slowdown. I nearly got a black flag for it. So yeah, it's frustrating. iRacing need to fix that, but people have been saying that for 10 years. But no, otherwise
it's the rules, right, Joe? It's like the Formula One guys whinging about off tracks, and lines there for everyone. But
we all play by the same rule. Yep, we're all in the same sand pit with the same rules. So it's I shouldn't have got the off track. I would have been right. It probably would have made the race a little bit easier. But I think a bit of the shenanigans up the front sort of helped the result. But I'm pleased to say it was a relatively clean race.
Excellent. Glad to have you on board. We'll head around the room now.
Yes.
If you're popping off to the GT3s, good luck out there tonight. Otherwise, enjoy the beautiful western side of the country.
I'll certainly be doing that. I won't be doing the GT3s. I've retired.
Good on you, Joe. They're a bugger sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah,
all right,
they are.
Mate.
Thanks, mate.
Good to have you in, and we'll talk to you again next time.
Thanks, Grant.
Nick Fodiatis. Good evening, mate.
Good evening, Grant. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
The Bailey Ladders red Porsche there actually had a bit of fun in that one. And what's that? 5th and 2/6 so far out of the first 3 races. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, you're up there or thereabouts with the points, and that's always a good place to be in the early part of the season. It's far easier to maintain a good position than make a hell of a lot of points up on other players.
It seems to be the same pattern each week. Like, I can't, if I'm in the top 10, I'm at the back end of the top 10, or I'm just outside of it, and people up the front doing silly things. Like, I don't know if you guys saw it on the broadcast on the second last lap, coming down here, 2 cars got together and made the wall on the far left. So,
yeah,
I don't know if you guys saw that, but yeah, it was pretty epic, and that gave me a free kick.
I think that was the one we saw with.
Who was it? It was.
I think it was Nick Wood and Berhop. That's it.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing too. Like, I could see Ollie Patterson for a fair bit of the race, but because I'm dicing and trying to defend and trying to attack, you lose so much time. How far was he up the road in the end? He was a good 8 seconds up the road by the end of it, and I was within 2 seconds of him, like in this part of the race here. So, well done to my teammate Michael Hammond and Gary Cousins on a recovery drive there. Unfortunate for Trent.
Yes, and for Jordan Malcolm, who's unceremoniously punted out on that first corner with just absolute. I think that's a couple of times he's been the recipient of a really undeserved issue, but it's the way it goes. That's racing.
These 3 tracks have actually was a little bit hesitant because these are the 3 tracks I've been punted out more times than any in GT4. So I know exactly what he's going through.
Yes, indeed. All right, and where are we off to next week, Adam? Jerez in Spain, so it's probably going to be hot there, I should think. It's hot in all of Europe at the moment, but it's a good round of racing this time with the new Aragon, Motorland Aragon in there, and the new Willow Springs as well. What are you liking the looks of there over the next couple of weeks, Nick?
Well, I did really well in the Sherry countryside of Jerez there last time, so can't wait for that one.
Yep.
Willow Springs is a bit of a hit and miss because there's no white line on that track, and so if you are the last turn is the worst turn, I should say.
Right.
I love Virginia.
Mhm.
And Aragon, we as a team, we did a really big test there, sorted out our cars, and it's actually really, really good and really fun.
Oh, excellent.
So should be good fun. I do not like the Estoril turn 2 at Magny-Cours. That just goes on and on and on forever, and it's going to burn tyres. So we'll see how we go.
Alrighty, thanks for popping in. Good luck
thank
with
you.
your week's racing, and enjoy your week.
Thank you, Grant. You too.
All right. Sam Chapman, we'll just have a quick chat with you. As I said, I hope you've got the potty words out and you've filled up your swear jar, because that was just dreadfully unlucky for you, mate. Qualifying on pole and doing a good job of leading, and then for the world to disappear on you, terribly tragic.
Yeah, you can imagine I was pretty grumpy after that. It was. I haven't qualified on pole before either, so I was pretty excited to get cracking. But yes, no, the dodo needs to be fed or killed. I'm not sure which one yet.
Yes, and certainly seemed like a good track for the Porsches tonight.
Yeah, it seems to. Yeah, the Porsche seems to be a bit more adaptable than we thought. I think if you still probably got to dodge the curbs a little bit, but yeah, no, it was pretty good out there.
Well, top 4 in qualifying, and then what's that? First, third, fourth, and sixth. So 4 of the top 6. It was a pretty good effort there from the Porsches. So yeah, interesting. Always in the early parts of the season to see which cars are suiting which tracks. But nice work. It's, you've got to be pleased picking up that pole, and who knows what could have been. Michael Hammond, I'm sure, would have given you a real good hurry up if you'd managed to stay out there. And who knows? You might have been going great guns and had Trent Lavis come backwards through the side of your car. But there was a few sob stories tonight, certainly.
Yeah, well, could have been, but yeah, that is what it is. I guess onwards to next week. That's why we got drop rounds. Yeah,
good on you, mate. We'll catch up with you again soon, and I wish you well during the course of the week. And hopefully that's your last your last internet dropout for a while.
Yeah, fingers crossed. All right, catch you, Grant.
Good on you, mate. Paul Wood, hello. Good evening. How are you?
Not too bad. How yourselves?
Yeah, very well, very well. I'm standing in for a recuperating Zach Caban tonight, so I'm probably better than he is tonight.
Yeah, sounds like he's had a bit of a rough trot, but
yeah,
wish him the best. Hopefully he'll be back soon.
Yeah, I think he's hoping to be back on deck for a Thursday evening. Tell us a little bit about your evening. You're down 5 from your quali spot in 14th, which is very unfamiliar for our experience of you around a racetrack.
Qualified better than I expecting. Practice coming into this round, I was a bit of struggle street, but got there in the end, and yeah, just lost a couple of spots at the beginning there. Got caught behind a few guys battling and that sort of stuff, and trying to stick with Nick through there, and just got balked up the hill with a couple of guys up in front, and I think Nick got a run up the outside of me, and yeah, we ended up not a lot of room left on the inside of the corner there, and got a rub on the side of the car. It was enough to unsettle it, and around I went. So yeah, I plummeted all the way back down there. I come back out of the pits in 30th or something like that. So
yeah,
to fight back to 14th.
From there.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, it's one of those another races of what could have been. But yeah, so far this season's not going to plan for me. But there's still quite a few rounds to go, so we'll see. And I'm slowly getting my head wrapped around the old Aston again after I think it's been like 18 months since I've driven it.
Yeah, you've always been a very, very strong supporter of the Porsche, so it's good to give yourself a bit of a challenge, much like Matty Dench running the McLaren now in the GT3, and things have been going okay for him, but he certainly hasn't got the stranglehold on the competition so far that he's had previously. But what else are you racing over the course of the week, or is it just really GT4s these days?
Doing GT4s, the F3s I'm trying to do as well, but I'm slowly building, still getting health back on track and that sort of stuff, and slowly building back up and getting my legs back under me, but a bit just struggling to get the racing muscles back working again, so I'm not trying to push too hard, so I'm not making too many mistakes or ruining too many people's races, so the GT4s are a good one to to work my way back in. I want to try and get back into the GT3s as well. I always enjoy them, and as well as a lot of the other ones, Porsches, V8s. But yeah, we'll get there. So we'll just see. I'm just concentrating on getting myself back to square one, and hopefully after the end of next month, I should hopefully be in a little bit better position again. So yeah, we'll see how we go for the second half of the season.
Yeah, well, the GT4 has been just that 25-minute race. There's a little less. We've had a number of other drivers who've been recuperating from various ailments and incidents that like to have that shorter race that doesn't quite drag on you. There's not the demands that some of those others have. But good to have you in, and nice that you're able to do a fairly significant recovery there. So wish you well, and hope you get that strength and condition back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's coming back slowly, but yeah, the shorter races just allows you to race hard for that short time and then not have to fight on for too long. So it's just a good way to wade back into the waters. But yeah, hopefully it'll go well. Next week's going to be an interesting track for me, and we'll see how we go from there. Hopefully it'll be a turnaround. So thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. That's the thing about a spring of less than desirable circumstances. At some stage it's going to turn around, because we know how consistent you are. So wish you well with that.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Good on you, Paul. And Liam Banks, welcome into the room. You enjoyed your evening, I suspect. Ninth spot, up 4 from your quali, and it's a fairly good quali for you as well.
Yeah, I've only done the one GT4 race this year, which was the first round, which didn't go very well. So it's nice to actually have a positive race for once. Had a few brown pants moments. At one point, approaching the final corner, ending up on the grass coming out of the chicane and basically sliding it into the final corner. Another one where I had 2 people in front of me at the first corner, and they checked up much more than I thought, and I had to dive to the outside, and it turned into an impromptu overtake. But actually, I was just trying to keep it out the wall. No, it was a lot of fun. Glad to be back on the track.
Good. I thought you were going to say one of your brown pants moments was when you caught a glimpse of your reflection. It's less than my favourite delivery, that one of yours. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
It's bright, isn't it? Which is what I was going for. I was going for bright, and then it's a Porsche Catera. That's why there's cats on it. There's a paw print, and there's a big cat.
Ah, nice.
I wanted to make a prawn Carrera, like a prawnch, but that's beyond my Photoshop skills.
Okay,
so
well, maybe
didn't get to live.
Yeah, maybe it could be a porker at some stage. You could have a nice.
Yeah, I like that.
There. Yeah,
I like that.
That's what Nick often calls them, the old porker. So yeah.
Maybe mid-season there'll be a livery change for a different pun.
Yes, indeed. All right, and are you stepping up to take lead on the GT3?
Yes.
Okay, and would you like a second or third voice in the?
I would love as many voices as I can get.
All right, mate. I'll stick around for the GT3s because our good mate, obviously, without Zach in here this evening, we all do what we can to cover up for him. And he was saying he felt like having a big long sleep. I don't know if the meds are wearing off or picking up and catching on. But I imagine he's put his little head on the pillow, and I would have thought we might get a response or two from him on the socials, but nothing to this point in time. And we hope he's feeling much better much sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the voice of the GSRC, right? So it's not right when he's not here.
No, that's right. That's right. We're just poor shadows of his masterful glory. But anyway. We all have these moments that we go through, and looking forward to the GT3s a lot. I think, Adam, we might look.
I was going to say if you want to do your driver's choice award, and then we'll go to a break.
Oh, driver's choice award. Okay. It's going to be the bloke that you thought it might have been last week. The Hot Wheels car, Oliver Patterson. He had a good run in there, and he gets a T-shirt for representing possibly the most distinguishable livery on the track. So well done to Ollie Patterson. I'm sure Pete Matson will get in touch with you, or perhaps John Simpson, to work out your shirt size. And you've got you have a GSRC branded shirt coming your way, Ollie Patterson. So well done to you.
I think it's his first podium in the GT4s too, so well deserved.
Indeed. That's exactly why I gave it to him. Although it is the Commentator's Choice Awards, it's not necessarily for the best performance on the night, and perhaps we should have given it to... there you go, Ollie. Perhaps we should have given it to Michael Hammond for a birthday present, but I suspect he might have one or two GSRC shirts tucked away in the closet there somewhere. But nice work from him, and you can see him there giving Sam Muir a real rev up. I imagine that's Sam right in front of him there. So nice work from him. And round 3 done and dusted of the GT4s for Series 3 of 2023. So if it was Zach, he'd be saying all the threes are lining up, and he'd probably have some numerical progression that he could look at there and tell you what date it was in 1907 as well at the same time. But all good, so well done. Big thanks, as always, to our new sponsor of the GT4s, Orbic. Same people, or same person, but different company this time round. So Pete Matson, thanks very much for bringing Orbic on board, and for putting up that T-shirt award for the Commentator's Choice. So we might, at that point, we've got, what time are we on? I can never remember the GT3s. They're 45, aren't they? 8:30. Well, we should get out of here and get into the GT3 is pretty smart, so we can get going and bring that to us.
I'll take us to a break. We'll be back shortly, people.
Adam, why don't you take us to a break, and we'll be back with the GT3s right on the other side of this this very short break.
Yeah, it was So yeah, Sam's in there, took him out of the lead, and then we had the effective second, third, and fourth all have a chain reaction event, so it sort of split the front end up a little bit. But there's some sort of little battle packs here and there.
Good evening, everybody. Those of you joining us for the first time tonight with the GT3, welcome. Those of you joining us after watching the GT4, welcome back. GT3 is tonight at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, which is where the F1 will be this weekend. It's, of course, one of the most famous circuits in the world, with so many of those corners that you just know the names of. There's not many tracks where I can call out the corner names and be confident that most people watching are going to know them. Spa is one of those tracks, along with Silverstone, along with Suzuka, along with Monza. It is racing royalty, and we have got racing royalty on the track tonight in the form of Matty Dench, Brock Kelly and Richard Mitchum, some of the fastest drivers the GSRC has ever seen in the GT3s. Will be doing battle at this legendary track tonight. My name is Liam Banks. Alongside me in the commentary box, as you heard earlier on tonight, is Grant Gill and Adam Lavis. And the track conditions are thoroughly pleasant, much more pleasant than it is in real Spa currently, I would hazard a guess, given the massive heat waves that are gripping Europe. We wish everybody in Europe the best getting through those scorching temperatures. 32 degrees air temp, 32 degrees track temp, I should say, 21 degrees air temp, 41% humidity, and just a light wind, so perfect conditions as always. In iRacing for the GSRC Waste Options GT3 Championship. Won't be long until the race starts. They're just finishing off qualifying. So let's take a gander at the championship standings and see what battles are developing. And as you can see, at the front of the championship, Matty Dench has not had it all his own way so far. He's got Brock Kelly right behind him, only 7 points of difference. Simon Cox 6 points further back, and then Nick Wood 3 points back from Simon Cox. So that top four, very, very close in the moment. And all it takes is one or two poor races or one or two really good rounds, and you're going to see those top four swapping positions. This might be the best chance anybody has had yet to dethrone Matty Dench, but saying that, it is very early days, only 2 rounds in, tonight being the 3rd round. Behind that, really tight battle for the top 5 of Rich King, Alan Holgerson, Wayne Hewitt and Chuck Fung Wong, all separated by only 7 points. Holgerson and Hewitt on the same points, in the same team, in the same car. How's that for consistency for you? But then got a gaggle of Porsches behind them, so Cooper, Dickerson and Mitchum all battling to be that 3rd Porsche behind Rich King and Brock Kelly. Have got a bit of a march on the Porsche competition. And then we've got Rob Hill, Glenn Arnott, John Wright, John Adams, Adam Chiplin, Jordan Malcolm, Adam Burhop, Skigalisa and Jared Knight at the bottom, who did not finish round 2. Obviously, we're going to see those names moving around a lot, but let's have a look at our grid for the first race here tonight. We've got Richard Mitchum on pole, Brock Kelly in 2nd, Gleiser and McLaughlin on the 2nd row, Dench all the way down in P5, Simon Cox in 6th, Jewell in 7th, Birchnell in 8th, Holgerson in 9th, and Glenn Arnott rounds out the top 10. Behind them, we have Carew in 11th and Hayne in 12th, Hewitt and Martin on the 7th row. Then we've got Nick Wood and Jared Knight in 15th and 16th respectively, Burhop in 17th, Ruddle in 18th, Dickerson in 19th, and Richard King in 20th position. Behind them, Brooms in 21st, Oliver in 22nd, Chuck Fung Wong in 23rd, Rob Hill in 24th, Hooper in 25th, Dawson in 26th, Atchison in 27th, Wooden in 28th, Adams in 29th, and Wright in 30th. What a bumper grid we've got for you tonight. 30 cars taken to the What are you looking forward to in this race, Grant?
Oh, I'm itching. I'm champing at the bit. Really looking forward to seeing Richard Mitchum's performance, as of course Matty Dench, having set himself the challenge of running in the sole McLaren in the field. He's certainly thrown up a challenge for himself. 5th spot. Richard Mitchum had fastest lap qualifying last week as well. And it was just very unfortunate around Virginia, up in the top part of the track, where there's that very fast left, headed off, or it might have even been a little bit before that, headed off the track and then took out 2nd place, which gifted Denchi a bit of a bit of a good run, and although he didn't have it all his own way, he had Brock Kelly right with him last week. It was certainly some interesting racing, but be interesting to see what Dench can do from 5th place. 3/10 I think he was down on Mitchum and Kelly, so we're in for a really good challenge up around the top of the field, and 60-minute race, so it'll be interesting to see how strategies play out. Dench's fuel saving whilst throwing flames all across the track out the back of that McLaren.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the fact that circuit Spa-Francorchamps is such a great circuit for strategy, because you've got some really big braking points that allow you to do fuel saving, but it's such a long lap that it's quite ballsy to go for an extra lap or two, because you have to save so much extra fuel compared to a smaller lap if you were going to a more traditionally sized circuit.
Yeah, on a 2-minute something lap, certainly makes a big difference. But here we go.
They are racing. Richard Mitchell getting a fantastic start. Break away from the field. Gleiser, Dench and Kelly all in a gaggle, battling for P2. Dench already up one position over Sean McLaughlin. And it's been turned. That's Brock Kelly off at the first corner. Looked like there was contact between him and Matty Dench. We'll have to get a replay a bit later on once this action has stopped, so we can dissect what has happened there. We're here watching this morning. He's side by side with Wayne Hewitt going through Eau Rouge. That's always brave to do that. Matty Dench now looking at Sean McLaughlin. So Sean McLaughlin overtaking Dench in that kerfuffle. Turn 1, Hulkson and Birchnell just swap places, as has Hewitt and Jared Knight. Jared Knight getting in a position. Arnott and Birchnell swapping places down the Kemmel Straight. It's such a long straight. If you get a better run out of Eau Rouge, you're going to see people going up and down the order by 2 or 3 positions on the first lap, because just how important get a good run is out of Eau Rouge on lap 1. Birchnell now falling behind Hayden and Carew, and he's dropping down the field, so I think he's had some sort of incident a little bit further back. He's recovered it. I imagine he got a bit out of shape for the chicane, and it just left him slow off it and let a few cars get through. Look at really Go on.
Sorry, mate. Really unfortunate for Kelly there, because on that first lap, you go around on the first corner. There is no safe way to rejoin without waiting for just about the entire field to go through. So he's running down now, 25 spots down from his quali in 27th, and it looked like there might have just been a little bit of a speed differential between the two of them, and maybe he didn't think Dench was in there, but we'll have a look at the replay shortly and see if we can work out what happened there. And of course, we've got Lee Williamson and Josh Reno in the green room.
And I'm going to interrupt you there, because there's absolute chaos going on. Erhard Birchnell chipping amongst some of the cars involved. Jeff Adams, I believe, as well. Rob Hill, John Wright. I think Brock Kelly might have been involved in that as well. Jonathan Hooper off track.
Kelly snuck through.
Kelly has snuck through. That's good for him. He's currently in 23rd position. Lots of work if he wants to get involved in the battle of the front. That would almost certainly have been a safety car if we were doing them, but I don't believe we are. So they'll keep going as they were. I think there's a healthy portion of cars that were not involved. It was far enough down the pack that quite a few managed to get through, but what it has done is split this pack in 2. You got the top 13 down to Jared Knight, and after they got a 5-second gap to Reece Dickerson. So I think after Dickerson, you've got all the people that have had some sort of incident, and then you've got a few cars that have really caught up in it that are diving into the pits at the end of lap 1.
Oh, that'll really pick up your strategy. It'll be a fast repair there and get going. It's hardly even worth putting any more fuel in. You probably take as much as you can at this point in time. But then you've really got to think on your feet, don't you, Liam? As all your plans, all your strategies, all your fuel calculations go completely out the window, and you just have to race what's in front of you.
Yeah, and you're going to get a difference between the drivers and those that are really comfortable doing those calculations whilst they're driving and won't slow down too much, and others that find it really difficult to drive and do those calculations at the same time, who will slow down, they'll get clumsy whilst they're trying to do that in their head. They're maybe figuring out, right, if I get to lap 3, 4, maybe I can get to the end, or that doesn't compromise the amount of stops I have to make if I fuel save, but I'll have to carry the damage, and then trying to offset that in their head. There's a lot they need to consider in that short amount of time before they get to the start of pit lane, and you're going to see some drivers really good at that. They're going to be able to recover. They're going to get the optimum strategy given the hands they've been dealt during lap 1, and others are going to really struggle and perhaps even throw it off track again whilst they're distracted trying to think of it. And I think we're now going to get a replay of some of our lap 1 chaos.
Oh, Kelly just drifted that little bit wide as he caught a bit of that inside curve. But looked to me like he just came, Matt seemed to have left him enough room through there. But here we go, Rouge, Radion, and Jeff Adams. Oh, we've seen some horrific real-life accidents there that have led to a number of fatalities as well. One of the most dangerous corners sequences in motor racing worldwide. Richard Mitchum on replay. Yeah, we've been getting a few off tracks. There certainly aren't going to be too many 0Xs. I've been watching the little red lights. Is this Burhop? Burhop will stick it down the inside, and around goes, I think that was Birchnell, wasn't it? One of the only 2 Ferraris in there, and then Birchnell absolutely gets nailed as well.
Yeah, that was very ambitious from Burhop to try and send it up the inside there. Just not really the space, not really alongside enough to demand space, and then did mostly the right thing after the initial collision, but then just came off his brakes and inched forward a little bit, and that might have contributed to the second collision. I'll be interested to see what the stewards make, both of the initial collision and whether they deem him not having held his brakes enough, because he certainly did initially. That looked like he started wanting to get just anxious to get out of the middle of the road and just nudged himself forward, and that might have caused the follow-on incident. Hopefully he's able to, all those drivers involved, particularly those not initially involved, are able to rejoin safely and not have the race ruined. Hopefully, because there are 4 or 5 cars that got involved in that, they'll at least be able to have a little battle themselves at the back, even if they can't fight for the higher positions.
Yeah, Birchnell's ended up down in 25th spot, down 17, but up the track here, Simon Cox has just set the fastest lap of the race, 2:17.060, right in the tail of Matty Dench, and they're both up 1 spot. Alan Holgerson behind Cox is up 3 into 6th from 9th.
Yeah, having a brilliant race, and it's really interesting. I was about to say that the lap times are all very similar for the top 13, and what we're actually seeing is the effect of the toe, of course. Massive toe down the Kemmel Straight, massive toe down through Blanchimont on the way to the chicane, and what that does is it increases the difference in lap time, that lap delta that we talked about, needed to break away from the car behind. So if you're half a second slower than the car in front, on a lot of tracks, that means you'll lose touch with them because you'll lose the half a second lap. But when you're gaining half a second in the slipstream, it offsets it. So what we're seeing is the grid being kept somewhat artificially close, because the spread of lap times is such that it's overcome by the slipstream effect. So the top 13 all running line astern. This is Ryan Hewitt. He's at the head of the second bunch, and he's under attack because he's the first driver in the field not to have the slipstream. So he's under a lot of pressure from Dickerson and Oliver behind, and they all kept it very respectful. And there's Dickerson and Oliver going side by side through the first corner. It'll be interesting to see who blinks first on the way to Eau Rouge, and that's Oliver ahead, Dickerson behind.
Yeah, I'll just going into that sequence there, into the bus stop. Hewitt was behind and closed up. Came alongside into the bus stop and then was able to leave enough room. There was great racing between the 2 of them, but as they came out onto the pit straight, the other fella, Dickerson, just lit up the tyres a little bit and didn't quite have the drive off, so that allowed Hewitt to get by him there. Hewitt operating at 14th spot. And as you said, Part B of this race, he's 8.6 seconds behind Jared Knight. So as you've already said, 1st to 13th in one group, barely separated, and then 14th on is this next group, 8.5 seconds back. But he's starting to make some ground here, Hewitt. So keep an eye on him.
I think he's been unfortunately a bad quali, and it's set him up to have a hard race because he's normally in that front group, and he's back here with the second group. And now he's got a lot of work to try and close that gap. Eight was it? Where is he? 8.5 seconds. Yep. So that's going to be a lot of work to try and reel back in that leading bunch.
It'd be interesting to see his times come up now. Of course, Jared Knight in 13th, who's on the tail of that first group. Last time round did a 2:17.8, and Wayne's time was a 2:19.2. So So that second group were pretty much there on merit. But Chuk Fong Wong in the one of the very few Lambos, the only Lambo we've got, he's setting some good times. Last time round did a 18.645. He's in 19th spot, so keep an eye out for him. But yeah, Cox right with Matty Dench. And Mitchum only holding a half-second lead over Glissett.
Yeah, interesting.
Dench up into third, sorry. Sean McLaughlin back into fourth.
Yeah, Dungey up into third, but 1.6 seconds behind Gleiser in second. So while he will get a little bit of a tow, I imagine, at that distance, he's not going to get as much of a tow as Gleiser, well, from Mitchum, or McLaughlin, Cox, Holgerson behind him. So Dench could be in for a bit of a struggle here to catch the top two without the help of that slipstream. Certainly if he has a scruffy lap or anything like that, or McLaughlin or Cox launch an attack on him and it costs him another half second, he'll drop fully out of that slipstream, and it might make his life very difficult.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because with Matty Dench, you can never quite be sure just how much management's going on, how much race management, tyres and fuel is going on. But based on his quali pace, it just doesn't look like he's got the outright pace to be right with these guys. So it's dropping out to 1.8 seconds now. It will be interesting to see what Dench can do.
Yeah, just watching Thomas Martin here, and that absolutely beautiful Fisher Motorsport livery. What a striking livery that is. Trying to defend from attack, and doing a really good job. There's some nice defensive lines that have meant that Nick Wood's not able to get past, and then it looks like behind him you got Jared Knight in the who we're used to seeing more towards the front of the field. Currently he's in that lead pack, but there is a bit of a gap now in front of Thomas Martin. He's 1.2 seconds behind Martin Carew in 10th place. So those top 10 might just break away here, particularly if Nick Wood and Martin continue hostilities. And there's Wood off the track, getting a little bit close to Martin. I think just doing what he can to try and not send Martin around, and that's put him off track. So that'll give Martin a little bit of breathing space, although he has now got Jared Knight behind him, and I'm not sure who'd rather have behind me, Nick Wood or Jared Knight, and neither's a good option.
So it is definitely a striking livery, but as a broadcaster sets a broadcast up, it's a bit of a nightmare, given I can only choose two colours for the numbers on the screen. But also, just a heads up, it's going to be a bit tricky for me to pick the incidents here, because Spa being Spa, still well, look out. There's one, I found one. But Spa being Spa, the problem is with SDK, it still runs the old off tracks. So I've just got a long list of off tracks, so it's going to be tricky for me to pick where the incidents actually are.
Yeah, on your live timing, the off-track button with the new page they've got lights up red.
Bing, 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 bing.
Oh, it's like being in a it's like it's going up everywhere.
Let me put it this way: SDK believes Richard Mitchum has had 26 off tracks already.
Yes. Yeah. Let's hope that's not the case.
Yeah, if you thought the F1 at Austria is back, you want to watch racing at Spa and iRacing, because there's plenty more off tracks than there were at Austria, I think.
Great move, Brenton Jewell. Terrific work there. Dench is just holding 1.6 seconds, just closing up a little bit, because Glissett is now right on the back of Mitchum, so giving him a bit of grief, and maybe opening the door just a smidge for Matty Dench to climb back into the fray.
Just a smidge there, and I'll just correct you there. Arnott making the overtake rather than Brenton Jewell. Brenton Jewell getting overtaken, so to make sure Arnott gets the credit for that lovely move down the inside into their calm. Absolutely textbook. That is when you say to someone, I want to see an overtake. Just give me overtake, the most default overtake. That's what it is. End of long straight, into the chicane, down the inside, move done before the second part of the chicane. Beautiful.
As you might say, Spa-Francorchamps 101. That's either there or the bus stop.
Yeah, absolutely. What a wonderful circuit it is. We're going to say this multiple times throughout the broadcast, but it is just such a magnificent place to go racing, both in the real world and in the sim world. And long may it live on in iRacing. Of course, there's talk again after there was another fatality in the lower formula that they might have to make changes to Eau Rouge Radion to make it safe, and you always get the argument about the keeping the history and the character of the corner versus safety, and it's a case of how do you get that? Someone say the balance. Is there a balance to be had when there's safety? But whatever happens in the real world, we will always have it in iRacing, so that is something to be thankful for, whatever they may decide to do with that corner going forward. Of course,
Well, they recently have just reprofiled
They
Eau
have.
Rouge and Radeon and taken some of that compression out, so just smoothed out a fraction. And unfortunately, I think the only way you're going to save people is to take the armor guard, which is on the right-hand side up to here. Just get rid of that altogether, because it comes back out to the track there, as you can see, and that's where the majority of those people are having their massive stops.
So the actual incident wasn't actually at Radeon.
No, it wasn't.
It was
down
through here, this kink here, and onto the straight. That's where it was actually onto the straight here was where the actual T-bone was. So it was a bit after Eau Rouge was where the actual incident was.
Yes. I do recall.
It also they might have got loose up at the top of Radeon, but the most of it happened further down the track this time. So it wasn't as direct Radeon as it was for Hubert.
Well, at least no one here in iRacing is going to end up in hospital as a result of the accidents.
I don't know. After practice last night, Woodsy crashed into me when I was just holding the wheel, and the wheel smashed my knuckles, so you can't get a sore hand.
You've not been to the Formula 1 school and let go of the wheel just as you hit the wall.
I was parked.
Yeah, you do actually. For anyone watching, a bit of a public service announcement. You do need to be careful after a race, because if someone's rocking a direct drive wheel, you can hurt them. You can damage their wrists if you smack into them when they're not expecting it. You know, it's one thing when you're in a race, you're side by side, you kind of know the contact's coming, you can adjust for it, or if you have an accident by yourself, like you alluded to, Grant, you can let go of the wheel. But when you're just minding your own business, having a cool down lap, and then someone flies into you, it can actually cause some damage, why you'll hear some people get a bit ratty if you ever do it to random. So only ever do it to your friends or people that you want to hurt. That's the PSA. At front, Mitchum and Gleiser doing a really good job pulling away ever so slightly from Matty Dench. That gap was up to 1.8, but it's just started coming down again as Gleiser and Mitchum get a bit close in that corner. And I think perhaps just going through a section of the track that suits the McLaren a little bit more, but the gap now 1.4. As I'd switched to the gap, it was 1.8, and I was going to talk about how it's grown, but it's actually got smaller. So that we're at that point.
Yeah, swings and roundabouts. Just looking, it started to open itself up a bit. Of course, we've got 0.3 of a second between first and second. 1.3 to Matty Dench, 1 second then back to McLaughlin. Simon Cox all over the back. Look at the purple or the maroon and white vehicle right in the tail. If he doesn't play McLaughlin now, we'll know he's absolutely so. But then Glenn Arnott's dropped back 3 and a bit seconds. Wayne Hewitt's made 3.5 seconds on that group that he got by before. And he's starting to close in on the back of Nick Wood, who's in 11th spot. So yeah, it is starting to open up a bit.
Yeah, and if he can get back in Nick Wood, he's got a nice little daisy chain of people that he can use to move up the field and get a bit of slipstream every so often. The problem with Hewitt is going to be how much fuel has he burned without being able to save anything behind someone, because the other effect that slipstream has, other than giving you a bit of extra speed, is you can use it to save fuel. And when Hewitt's not had that option, so it might just compromise him a little bit strategically. So I'll be interested to see what happens when we come into the first round of stops and what that looks like for Hewitt, whether he loses out to some others like McLaughlin, Cox, Holgerson, who've been able to sit behind people pretty much the whole race and just save fuel. As you said, Grant, Cox was in a perfect position to launch and move on McLaughlin, and he didn't. That's a really big indicator that he is very much saving fuel here.
Absolutely, and it'll be interesting. As we said with Dench, I don't think he's been able to save a lot of fuel, but the boys up the front too, they're probably just keeping an eye on that gap, and they have to decide. Certainly Mitchum out in front has to decide how he's going to get this out, whether he just goes level and pushes it all the way, or if he's trying to save some fuel as well. But we know Richard hasn't been a big fan of fuel saving. Dave Oliver, what happened to you? A little bit too much of the outside curb, just unsettled the car. Something I can never do around there. Some cars will be all right, and he's just done the Audi logo there, I think, or the Olympic rings, one or the other.
Yeah, just losing it at no name, and you're going to see that a few times tonight. It's a very difficult corner to say it hasn't warranted a name yet. It's really tricky because it's downhill, and you know how important it is to get a good run onto that straight, and it's one of those corners that it tempts you into taking that little bit too much speed, and then you end up looping it around like he did there. And as I said, he won't be the only one to do that tonight.
Here comes
Hopefully-
Matthews down to a second, mate.
I was going to say, hopefully we don't see the front three loop it round, because I think we might be in for a great battle, or depending on what fuel saving is going on. My bet would be Glycer is saving a little bit here. Just sticking behind Mitchum, he's stuck with him quite safely, quite easily. Their gap's never really been above 7/10, and to me that's an indicator that perhaps he does have a bit more pace and he's just using Mitchum to save a bit of fuel. However, he's got to be careful because Matty Dench is closing in just a tad. Like you said, swingings and roundabouts. This could just be the normal flow of people making small mistakes on the lap and it all evening out over 3-4 laps. But if Dench gets much closer, he's going to be well and truly in the slipstream, which does two things. Gives him an opportunity to attack if he wants to, or lets him save fuel. And you do not want to make Matty Dench's strategic choices any wider, because he will always find the best choice.
Yeah, you don't want to make it any easier for him. The whole idea is we try and make it as hard as possible for him, so that we do get this fantastic racing. But yeah, just hovering over that 1 second for the moment. Oh, that's wide. That's wide from Mitchum. A little error there. So and again, that'll be a couple of X's for him. So that might play a role in the next 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, need to be careful. If you take too many liberties, you can get slowdowns around this track, and they are incredibly pushing, particularly when you're at the front of the field. You know, when you're a bit further back, you're in 20th, 21st. Mind you, we're in the pro split, so all these drivers are very, very good. None of them are leaving too much time on the table, but at least when you're a bit further back, you generally make a few more mistakes. So you make a mistake, cost you 1.5 seconds slowdown. You're probably going to lose that 1.5 seconds anyway, just through small mistakes, etc., etc. When you're at the front, these guys don't make those small mistakes.
So
Not to the same frequency.
So just a sit rep on the SDK off-track count, which we know is bonkers. The top 10 have a combined total of 254 off-tracks.
Yeah, Mitchum showing us 39 and Bliss at 32. But keep an eye on Holgerson here, because he's probably doing some fuel saving as well, but he is right on the back of the box.
And there's a good chance that this lap or the next lap will be the pitting lap, so we have to see some action down the lane.
Right, and it's because it's generally runs about 25 minutes is your max.
I think
run on GT3.
I think I calculated it around 26 minutes, but obviously you're only going to get to the 26 minutes full flat chat if that happens to work out to the exact lap times as well. So usually it's around about the 23 or 24 mark we've found with these guys, unless they've been saving.
Right, and we're at 22, coming up to 21 minutes. 21 minutes is just about here or hereabouts. That's 38 remaining out of 60, so
Yeah.
22.
And we have had a few drivers make what I believe to be a scheduled stop. Jared Knight, the leader of those who've made scheduled stops, stopping on lap 6. So by those calculations, I think that'll let him get to the end. Dave Riddell, lap 7. Chuck Van Wong's just been in the pits with Daniel Birchnell, both pitting on lap 9. Dave Oliver pitting on lap 6. And Jeff Adams pitting on lap 7. So I think that's a few of those drivers, like I said, getting involved in incidents earlier on and deciding to pit as early as they can, use their fast repair, but leave it as long as they dare, so that they can not spend any longer than they need to on track with a damaged car, but also not have an extra stop. Because they can do the normal stop, use the fast repair, and it won't hurt them at all.
That's right. So probably 2 stops for the majority of drivers, and because 22 and 1 stop would get us to about 44, 45 minutes. So then there would need to be a short dash and dash. Here they come, all 3. Who's hung on there? Sean McLaughlin's stayed out. So McLaughlin's been able to save some fuel probably. Running the BMW GT4s, they were just a little bit more efficient, or held just a little bit more fuel.
Brent Jules as well.
Yeah.
Interesting to see how close Matty Dench was
up the tyres.
A lot of them are choosing to take. Usually they take one side each stop just to get their tyres done. So because they can't quite fit all 4 during the fuel phase.
Copy that. They're probably taking lefts. Or would they take lefts? Probably rights.
It depends.
Denching out.
Oh well, he's short field track position. He's playing games.
A surprise, Matty Dench. Wow.
He's short field by 2.5 seconds to leapfrog these guys.
Wow.
That would have caught him by surprise.
And he leads Oscar Glissett by 2.4 seconds. So, wow, that was pretty big.
I was about to point out, did you see how much he closed in on pit lane entry?
Mhm.
He was right up the backside of Simon Cox on the entry, just wiping out any of the gap that Mitchum and Cox had. Mitchum, thank you, had going into the pit lane, and then, like you said, Adam short fueling to get track position. So tactical ploys there from Attention. Just look at this. Closes in a bit here, but then really aggressive on the entry.
You can make hopefully that didn't push him over the speed limit there. And Glissett's got out in front of Mitchum as well, which is the other interesting point.
So all changing at the top of the field. The thing is now, can Glycer and Mitchum stick with Matty Dench? That 2.6 seconds is enough that they're not going to get the assistance of Slipstream, but neither has Matty Dench. So this is a straight fight to see what pace these guys have in this second stint, and this could very well be the defining stint for the race.
And normally I'd say Dench, you'd have an invoice to play in fuel, but there's a chance it might, given how good he is on fuel, it might just be that he's just taking his invoice early with that extra 2.5 in his first stop.
Yep. Yeah, and look, as I said earlier, you're never quite sure how close Matthew is to running at 10 tenths, or even 9 tenths, as Brenton Hobson would tell us about. But McLaughlin and Jewell now into the pits. Yeah, you never quite know just how hard he's pushing, but he's out to a 4-second lead over Glissett.
Now, the good thing for McLaughlin and Jewell here is going extra lap means there's at least 1 lap less fuel they've got to put in for their next stop.
Yep.
1 lap further than these guys in the crucial lap to get to the checker flag.
Probably a good couple of seconds of fuel.
Oh, McLaughlin's come out real good. He's done the short stop as well. He's only taken 14.5 seconds of fuel. So he's taking the Dench approach to try and get track position and keep up with Denchy.
Yeah, pitted a lap later as well. I pitted on lap 11. So he's already paid a little bit of the invoice by doing a little bit of extra fuel saving in the first stint. So it'll be really interesting to see how this develops. And what he's done is he's plugged himself right in the middle of that gap between Dench and Glycer. So McLaughlin's going to get a bit of slipstream from Dench, and Glycer probably just needs to pull in maybe only a few tenths to start getting that slipstream effect from McLaughlin. So not only is he going to be in a position to potentially put a bit of pressure on Denchy, he might drag Glycer Mitchum into the battle as well through the benefit of his slipstream.
I find it interesting. Like I was got the up and comers tomorrow night at Monza Junior in the Formula V. So I was telling him how it's going to be a slipstream chess game with positioning their cars. Who knew that tonight these boys are playing a fuel chess game? So they're playing chess with their fuel. Who's got the best placement and thinking 2 moves ahead for their fuel strategy here?
Yeah, who's going to be Magnus Carlsen? Yeah.
I think Dench would have been a little perturbed to see McLaughlin come out so close, because he did have sort of 3.5 foot. Oh, there goes wide as they come through here. Jewell again. Yeah, because he had about a 3-second lead, and that way you're not giving the guy behind you a draft. But with McLaughlin fitting in between them, as you say, not only put a link between Matthew and McLaughlin, but giving Glissett a little bit of a tow along as well. So it'll be interesting. Glissett now out to 1.9. McLaughlin starting to close in on Dench 0.85.
Yes, this is a nice little battle. Forming here. Chuck Fung Wong right in the middle of it. The sole Lamborghini in the field, doing a wonderful job after being promoted to pro for this season. He's got Carew and Riddell right in front of him, and a Broom and Dickinson right behind him. We know Dickinson's got a lot of pace, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens between these 5 as they continue to battle. And that's Chuck Fung Wong going on the attack, trying to go around the outside. Is he going to make a stick? He's going to have the inside for the final corner. Really respectful there. Gets better drive out, but he's going to be on the outside. Oh, I don't think he's quite going to make the stick, but he can go around the outside at the first corner if you're brave enough, if you get it right. Carew and Fung Wong swapping up and down on timing screens every few milliseconds because they're that close going down the straight. and Chuck Van Wong not able to solidify the overtake. He holds on for now. It's going to be under a lot of pressure. And they get down to Lecom though, with Van Wong travelling so close through Eau Rouge. It looked like he cut that a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully he hasn't got a slowdown. No evidence of it so far, so I think it's okay.
In the background, we got Diggerson's got a run on Broom here. You get the inside run, so they get, oh no, but Diggerson running outside.
Nice.
Lovely move.
Nice move from the reigning AM champion.
Yeah, and he's going to be fighting soon one of his main rivals for that championship, Chuck Van Wong.
I asked him at the start of the season, did he want to run his normal number or represent the A1 plate? And he's like, just jinx myself. We'll chuck the A1 on there, see what happens.
Only a young fella, I believe, too, Reese. So he's doing a good job in there.
There's a lot of young fellas around in the GSRC. I'd love to know what the average age is for some of these races, although it might make me feel a bit older. So maybe we won't do that.
You'll be all right. There's a couple of us who are tilting the averages a little bit higher.
Depends if Aiden Schweitzer is part of the poll.
Okay, gap between Dench and McLaughlin, 0.95 of a second. Blissett, 1.8 back, and Mitchum right on his hammer.
So that 0.9 is basically holding. So Sean is doing his best to hold on. Lost the 2/10 through the chicane though, so that's not good.
Yeah, Matthew's been quick. That's where he was making the ground up on the guys in front of him in that first stint. So clearly the Macca's doing well under brakes there and acceleration. It's always been pretty good under acceleration. No one's set a fastest lap since Cox did it a long time ago, and they're travelling about 2:17.7s, all of these cars, within a second of one another.
It's been an interesting pattern this last while with GT3s. They get the fastest lap done early, and even with the lighter fuel loads and they do change their tyres, they still can't quite get the lap times to come back near the end of the race. So it's actually been pretty rare to see fastest laps in the second 2/3 of the race.
Interesting.
A lovely little battle here between Martin and Oliver, going side by side into the first corner, and Martin able to hold on to the spot where he's going to have a hell of a job trying to hold on into Lecom.
Oh, he's right.
Oh,
that'll be a slowdown.
That's got to be a slowdown.
Really pull over to the side and let the boys know. No, it doesn't look like he's playing that game. You really got to get it done.
How's he got away with that?
He cannot have, surely. Wow. Yeah, here he goes. He's slowing right down by the looks of it, and impacting the car behind as well.
There he goes.
Oh, stop. Yeah, you've got to get it done before here, or else you're right up the creek. Or right up Eau Rouge, as you might say, the Red River.
It's one of those things, there is a iRacing courtesy that you get out of the way. You don't try and play funny business in the corners, trying to slow others down and deliberately slowing down at points where you know they can't get past you. And it is just best to get it done out of the way. Find the long straight you can, and then try and judge it so you get back on the throttle way before the timer actually runs down, because you're still giving up time while you're getting back up to speed. So there's a bit of trickery you can do with it, just trying to minimise that time loss and make sure it's no more than the penalty intends. If it's 1.5 seconds, you don't want to lose 2.5 because you slowed down to 100 Ks and then waited there until all 1.5 seconds had elapsed. You want to make sure it's exactly 1.5. It can be a bit tricky to judge.
Absolutely, it's be as efficient with that as you possibly can.
It's one of the tricky things, especially if you get the slow down and over. Then the thing is, you don't want to do it straight away because you've got the whole chemical straight. If you do it early, then even if you clear it, you're now slower than you would be. So you're actually losing even more time all the way to Camel straight to the next braking zone.
And it's through there, it's a pretty hectic penalty as well. It'd be at least 1.2, maybe 1.8 seconds of slowdown, I would think.
Yeah, I found a good way to do it, as long as you're not in a battle pack and you can do it safely, is to actually do it into the next corner. So brake early and try and time it so that you get to that zero as you hit the apex, and then you can just accelerate out of the like normally. It can be quite hard to judge, but it's worked okay for me in the past.
So I'm pretty sure Denchi's definitely trying, because even though, as we've been saying, the track is very over off track friendly in the SDK, On my tracker list, no, ignore that. That's because I had Denchi searched because I was looking for that thing. Ignore that. Please carry on without me.
Richard Mitchum's got 73 and Denchi's got 49. Glissett 51. Unofficial old school off tracks. Dave Oliver ran a little bit wide and gave him a bit of a there we go. There'll be an invoice to pay there, and Dave's very well behaved gentleman. Generally, he'll probably redress that.
Yeah, I think he was waiting for the over and under and just sort of mistimed his run there.
Yeah, the talking about lap times, last time round, Matt Dench 2:18.036, McLaughlin 2:17.820, and Glissett 2:17.802. So half a second between Dench and McLaughlin. Glissett further 1.8 back, and Richard Mitchum just tucked into the draft of Glissett. He's quite happy to get sucked along by the exhaust gases of the Porsche Glissett.
Yeah, Glissett and Mitchum not getting left behind by Dench McLaughlin. McLaughlin's caught Dench now. He's within that second. He's only a quarter of a second back. 3/4 of a second back is well and truly in the toe. And that gap, it just doesn't get that much smaller than that unless you're starting to get aggressive. Glissett, the gap between McLaughlin and Glissett stayed relatively constant at 1.7 seconds. So he has pulled, to a degree, Glissett up towards Denchi. And just looking at the last lap times, McLaughlin, Glissett, Mitchum, all 2:17.8, basically. Matty Dench 2:18.0. So if that continues, all three of them are going to catch him, although I do suspect this lap, but Denchi might be a bit quicker.
Greg Patrick. Good to hear. Greg's had big problems with his lungs, and he's got a new set on order, so he's just waiting. Oh no, that's not for Greg. That's terrific. So keep well, mate. Hope it all goes well as you get the new engines. Well, not the new engine, the new carbies put in for you. Wishing you every success and good health going forward.
Yeah, best of luck, Greg. For those of you that perhaps don't know Greg, he races just about everything in the GSRC for the Bean Boss Boys. He's a popular figure, often pops in the broadcasts, and obviously everybody at the club wishes him all the best. And please do, if you as soon as you're well enough and you're watching the streams again, please do comment so that we know that you are okay, that everything's gone well, and we can get an ETA when you'll be back racing with us. It's really nice racing alongside you, and yeah, hope to see you again soon.
Something's happened to Cox. He's maybe he's been that far back for a while, but 2.9 seconds back from Mitchum. Glissett in third, Mitchum fourth, and Cox just at 3 seconds back. So last time round, he was about 7/10 slower than Mitchum in front, and he's got Alan Holtz now giving him a bit of a rev up from behind.
Yeah, it certainly does. Watch Richard Mitchum now. He's just stayed with Glissett this whole stint, probably using him to save a little bit of fuel. Again, it's going to be interesting to see where they all come out. And Jared Knight's becoming the first to make his second scheduled stop. Should be able to make it to the end from here. 22 minutes left on the clock, exactly as you predicted, Adam.
It's a bit risky though, because if they do overtime,
an extra one, yeah,
it's a lot of overtime around here.
It's a lot of slowdown. The Twitchy Foot boys having a good battle here. This is Martin Carew and
Dave Riddell.
Are they playing T games? It certainly doesn't look like it. It looks like they're going hell for leather at it.
So, well, I think you could put a camera at any point in the circuit and say, look at the Twitchy Foot guys having a race, and you'd be correct. There is so much support for the GSRC from Twitchy Foot Racing. There's so many of them in the GT3 series. They're pretty much swarming it, and it's brilliant to see.
Well, yeah, there's seven on our timing tower at the moment.
Wow. Looks like Glissett's just losing touch with McLaughlin a bit. It's out to 2 second lead for between second and third. So maybe a little bit more fuel saving going on. To get an extra lap, you might find you just, a couple of 100 mils out. And with some of the software that these boys are running that tells them exactly where they are, maybe just has to make a little bit more of a compromise for a lap or two to try and squeeze a little bit extra out, but we'll see. We'll see.
So keep in mind though, but like Denchi and McLaughlin do have a little bit of an invoice to pay in theory because they've taken less fuel at the last stop.
Yes.
So they may be leading now. Will they be leading after the stop? It's going to be tight.
Yeah, which would be indicated by an earlier stop than the others because they've run their tank dry.
That's a given.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to see, particularly with McLaughlin having done an extra lap in the first and now being able to run behind Denchi's toe for the entirety of this stint. Would not be surprised to see him go perhaps even an extra 2 laps compared to Denchi. Or if he does put on the same lap, pitting for less time and then hopping out ahead in the pits.
Yeah, although Sean took a second less fuel than Denchi, he actually did a whole lap longer. So he's probably actually ahead of Denchi on fuel, depending on how much fuel saving Denchi's done, even being out lead.
All the things we just don't know because we get an idea of how long they're stopped for, but we don't know what their fuel burns are. How they're going during the course of the race.
As we saw last week, Denchi's got a telltale sign when he lifts the coast now, so there it is.
Yeah, it's not very subtle, is it? Just looking at Cox, he's let that gap to Mitchum drop out 4.5 seconds now, so that's building.
We need more flames in motorsport, I've decided. I know we're all about sustainability and burning fuel in the exhaust for flames isn't very sustainable, and you certainly couldn't do it with an electric engine. But isn't it just beautiful? Like, don't we want that?
I'm surprised iRacing's got the animation from McLaren. It's the only car they put it on.
Well, clearly it's a feature of overrun from the McLaren, but you can do it with some pieces of silk, brightly coloured orange and yellow pieces of silk that just blow out with the wind.
I will say that the IndyCar does have a little bit of flame, but it's only like little pops. So I remember when the club first helped me get my widescreen, that was one of the first things I noticed, because like I was doing IndyCar races and I kept seeing these flashes in my mirrors, but by the time I looked there was nothing there. I couldn't work out what it was. Mirrors before, and then all of a sudden I got mirrors now. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, well, it's like the F2 cars, isn't it? They're popping all over the place. Back. It's just that little bit of overrun on the downshift.
Love it. Bring it back. All cars should have it, even on the road. just see a little old lady in a little Kia Rio, and the flames coming out of the exhaust. Wouldn't that be much better?
Or a Prius.
Or a Prius.
His fastest lap of the race, 2:17.489. It's 0.3 quicker than McLaughlin that time round. The gap's out to 1, so pit stops might be coming up.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a sign that he's not going to be able to make that like an extra lap, and he's got a little bit extra in the fuel tank, so he's just using it to try and pull away. It is danger time. The question now, we have to wait to see if once the tactics from the chess match play out, will we have en passant in the pits?
Oh, that was a late dive by Chuck. He's at the wall too.
Oh, he's at the wall. Chucked it into the wall. Not ideal.
I see what you did there. Chucked it into the wall.
Oh, there's a few puns in there.
Oh dear.
Oh, he's missed his box too. He's at a shocker entry.
That's not ideal. It's shades of Hamilton China in his rookie season.
I love the fact that the Beamer's the biggest car and the Lambo's the smallest car. You can see the biggest difference in the Finley.
So there's Broom. He's going to get away ahead of Chuck. Not too bad there. Chuck would have got away with that because I don't think he's involved in any instance yet, so he would have had his fast repair and been able to use that. They do have a fast repair in the pro split for a 60-minute race, don't they?
Yes, just the one.
Just the one. So he would have used that. That would have erased the contact with the wall, and he was very, very quick to knock it into the reverse when he realised he's gone past his marker. But not able to stay ahead of Broom.
All right, 16.5 minutes to go. Anyone who pits obviously now will get home. Someone like Matt Dench will probably underfill a little bit as well to know that he's going to save some on the rest of the run home. 0.85 of a second to McLaughlin, 2.2 back to Glissett, and just a third of a second back to Mitchum from there.
Just very briefly on our screens, we had the battle between Dawson and the Knight, which is a resumption of hostilities on the GT4. They were battling in the GT4s, and they've continued battling on the GT3s. Just can't get away from each other tonight. And Sean McLaughlin's followed him in. So now we get to see what's going to happen here. Who has won that chess game? Is it checkmate for Denchi?
Denchi has extended again. He's pulled the gap through that entry phase.
Yeah, he's amazingly good at it. Glissett, Mitchum, Cox and Holgerson have all gone round again.
I've taken 2 tyres.
Taking the other side of tyres, yeah.
There'll be a chock-a-block. Oh, no, it won't be a chock-a-block fill from here because it's only 15 and a quarter minutes to go.
That is checkmate.
Oh, look at the
leaves
difference.
first. Huge difference. He's pulled out.
So 13.2 seconds for Dench and 16 seconds for McLaughlin.
Yeah, what's that? 2.2. Wow. No, more than that. 2.7.
2.8. Yeah, 2.77 it is.
Wow. He is a master. Let's just leave it at that for the time being. But this leaves Oscar Glissett in the lead. Mitchum just 0.4 of a second behind. He's been tucked right up in there, so he should have saved a stack of fuel as he's trundled around there. Simon Cox 4.7 back now, so that is still opening up a little bit. And then Holgerson right on the back of Cox. Then it all starts stretching out a bit. Good battle between Jared Knight and Nick Wood a bit further down with Alan Dawson right there as well. But some great racing going on, and they've certainly settled into very nice rhythms, most of these drivers.
And so, yeah, Jared and Nicky, they've both made their second stop, so they're both fighting for actual position here. Alan's still got a stop to make, so he's sort of like the just tagging along for the ride at the moment.
Yeah, why not enjoy the view with 2 fantastic drivers doing battle in front of you? That was quite wide. Don't know if there's any slowdowns at that corner. I don't think there are.
If you run it too as steep as he did and as far off, there might well be, but we'll see.
You know, we'll soon know if he slows down on the approach to Blanchimont. Oscar Glissett is now in the pits. Richard Mitchum going around again. Simon Cox in the pits as well.
Richard's just been tucked up there the whole second. Oh, gone. Aitchison. Ouch.
Thankfully, he ends up just about off the racing line, and nobody else caught up in that. But that's game over for Aitchison, unless he's got a fast repair remaining.
Oh yeah. The old Porsches are a bit like that
so
in the GT4s. Yeah, you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah, sort of doing a bishop maneuver there, just going diagonally across the track, one way and then the other.
So that's Martin Carew coming in as well. Wayne Hewitt in as well.
Denchi's got 3.5 seconds, almost 4 seconds over Oscar.
Yeah.
But Oscar ahead of McLaughlin, which is a change of position.
Glissett took 13 seconds, McLaughlin took 16.
Yeah, so 2.7, 2.8 difference again. So McLaughlin really paying for that that short fuel early on.
Or he's fueled for an extra lap.
Yeah, that's a possibility as well.
He might just have gone cautious fuel for an extra lap. Might have got his calculations wrong, or he might have played a blinder.
Yes, that's right. He could have done something wrong or something very, very right. We'll keep an eye on Mitchum as he gets round the lap again. Of course, Mitchum started on pole, remains in first place. Alan Holgerson up 7 spots, still to pit the second time. Brent Jewell is normally pretty good on the fuel as well. He's where he started in 7th place in the BMW.
Yeah, Jewel, one of only 3 or 4 people that did 11 laps before the first stop. One of the other ones, of course, being McLaughlin, which is why we were so interested to see how that fuel battle was going to play out between him and Denchi. But Denchi winning that one Mitchum is going to be doing 11 laps on his second stop. Yeah,
He's in.
He's in the pits now. Couldn't stretch it out to 12. Be interesting to see where he comes out. Good lap time on the last lap as well at 2 minutes 17.7. So he's had pace whilst he's been staying out.
Yes. Alderson in as well. I think Mitchum was about maybe 6 seconds back on Dench coming into the pit stop phase.
Still stopped currently. So Dench will definitely come out ahead, which we wasn't really in doubt. But where's he gonna pop out in relation to Gleiser and McLaughlin? That's the battle that he's in. Gonna be just ahead of Gleiser, but he's gonna be slow going up Eau Rouge. It's all gonna be about how much momentum Gleiser and McLaughlin have coming up here.
11.6 seconds stop in there, so that's quicker than almost anyone else. Alan Holgerson was 10.55.
I think he's got this just about perfect as Mitchum. He's going to have enough momentum to keep the position, I believe. They're not in a position to attack going into Lecombe.
2.8 the gap between Dench and Mitchum. Let's keep an eye on that. We've got bang on 10 minutes to go, notwithstanding a little bit of overtime. And if Zach were here, he could have told us exactly how many laps they were going to do about an hour ago.
Yeah, he absolutely could have. But there's 2 minutes 20-ish a lap, let's call it. So you get an extra lap for every 3.
You're going to try.
So 7 minutes. 7 minutes is 3 laps. So you got 9 laps until the end. I'm not sure which one. I don't know how the overtime works. I'm not as familiar with it as Zaki.
9 minutes remaining. So that's 3 to 4 laps. 3 laps would be 6:60. 7 minutes. But that gap, Dench to Mitchum, 2.3. A lot of unsung heroes back here that have gone largely unnoticed during the course of the race, but some good battles going on. Who have we got here? Nick Wood and Jared Knight. Yes. So that's 9 and 10. A little bit further back in 16th, we've got a good battle between Dickerson, Riddell and Broom.
Okay, so my calculator believes we're going to get 26 laps in before the timer.
Copy that. So with Dench is 2.5 seconds ahead, and then right behind Mitchum, Glissett and McLaughlin are right with him, 0.89 and 0.63. So I think Dench might have done enough. Again, Brenton Jewell just pitting now for the final time, and I think he'll be the final second stop. He is. Have we got Dave Oliver? Oh no, Dave, hang on with me. Oh, look at him drift that. That was almost perfect. Almost. Oh, Dave. He was going so well there for a while.
It's so disappointing when you do it so late in a race as well.
Yeah.
All the hard work's done by then, you've earned your spot.
At the moment, is he going to bounce back?
Huber was determined not to compromise his line in case, wasn't he?
He definitely was. He was going in there hell or high water.
I don't think he budged an inch. He was like, well, if we crash, we crash.
That's it.
This is Jared Knight, side by side with Wood. Go around the outside. Is he going to be able to do it? Oh, he's going to have the inside for the next corner. Is Nick Wood?
He's left in room. Nice racing, boys.
Brilliant racing. Knight taking a tactical off track there to make sure he held on to the position. I don't know if he could have and stayed on the racing line. Of course, he'll say that he wouldn't have had space, but interesting battling between the two of them. Hopefully, Wood catches back up and we can watch this to the end of the race because that was beautiful.
Mitchum's released the hounds. It's down to 1.5 seconds. He's got a 1 second gap over Glissett now. So Dench out in front, 1.5 seconds. Glissett 1 second back from there. 6.5 minutes to go. Let's see what Mitchum can do. But this is such a good battle. Good couple of battles. A little bit further back here.
Yes, let loose the Mercedes of war. Mitchum on the charge. Gleisser and McLaughlin sticking with him as well. I think he's being forced into this pace by Gleisser and McLaughlin as much as just trying to catch Denchi down.
Yeah, he's just dropped back that little bit. Yeah, it's down. It's toing and froing just a little bit, but that last time round was at 2:17.2 versus Dench's 2:17.9. So 7 to 6 tenths, 6.5 tenths to the good.
How much of that is a mistake from Denchi, though? We'll have to wait till the next lap to find out.
Or traffic.
Or traffic.
Also another matter.
So, another survival on the off-track situation. So, the actual official count for this race is they've only got 15 off-tracks up their sleeve before they get a penalty.
Yeah.
According to SDK, Richardson has 120.
And of course, that's the old off-tracks.
121.
Before they updated it, but yes, taking liberties, one might suggest.
Nick Wood just getting past Jared Knight in
Yeah.
that battle for 8th place.
As us were around long enough before the iRacing did upgrade Spa's off-track thing, we all know how horrendous it was before.
Oh, yeah.
This racing is all four wheels off the white line, but they had. If you even had your outside wheels touch the white line, you'd be on the tracks. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Mitchum down to 1.44. So he's sneaking up to Matty Dench, 1.3. He's certainly going to leave nothing on the track. He's going to give it his all. 123 now.
I wonder if Denchi's slowing it down a little bit to try and make sure we don't get that extra lap.
Yeah, he just thinks...
What if he's just dancing that down?
Levels. That is a great thought, man. And we will see as we get closer. Just 4 and a smidge left in this race.
They're nowhere near an extra lap. They only got 2 laps. Yeah, so because they got, what they're doing, 2 minutes 17s. They got to go across the line now with 4 minutes exactly left on the clock. We're under 4 minutes.
No, you're right.
So they're only going to get like this lap and probably the next one. They're probably going to do next to no overtime.
I'm sure it's another line on Zach's invoices. Overtime for an extra lap.
Yeah, hopefully he's back on Thursday and we can resume bingo.
Yes, that's right, because we're particularly uninteresting when it regards...
These guys
to,
were
sports
unrelenting
updates.
back here. Look at them.
Oh, yeah. They will be sweating bullets, these boys, by the end of the race. They'll take a big glass of water and think that was a lot of fun.
So that's Riddell in the Twitchy Foot Racing car at the head of this pack. Dickerson trying to launch it around the outside. Broom's going to go up this inside.
The other funny thing too, it's like our 3 biggest teams in the club. We got Twitchy Foot, we got Side Hustle, we got HTS.
Yeah, the HTS, of course, hugely involved in the endurance series, usually running 3 teams: purple, yellow, red, green, blue. We've had them all in the endurance series for GT3, and that is back in a couple of weeks' time on Sunday, the 7th of August, I believe. So we've had a couple of changes for the next season. We're introducing hypercars and making it a multi-class season, so it'll be hypercars and GT3. So if you want to get involved in that, next season starts in a couple of weeks. Get your entries in while you still can. And then you can race the likes of Twitchy Foot and HGS Racing across a longer 4 or 6 hour race. And I believe the first round might be at Spa as well, actually, come to think of it. But you can't get in this race, it's far too late, and Denchi's well on his path towards victory, 1.27 seconds ahead of Mitchum, so he might just be managing that gap.
Yes, well, we'd be hoping so. Last time round, again, or maybe it's the same, it was a 17.361 for Mitchum, a 17.743, so 4 tenths. It's closing down, but this will be the last lap after they cross the line.
You see Barney over in the sticks, over on the right here. Yeah,
Where
getting the
is
hot
he?
dog. There he is, getting the hot dog.
There he is.
1.6 seconds. Dench is
Oh.
always quick through the bus stop there. Oh, Simon Cox just got by Alan Holgerson. Holgerson might be in trouble for fuel. 10.55 was his last stop.
I think Augustin's got a slow down.
Yeah, he certainly has.
He must have gone wide at Monchimon.
Easy to do. Very easy to do in the GT3 cars. Not like in the one car where it's easy flat. It's a different beast in these cars, for sure.
Oh!
And,
Oh no! The young fella. Oh,
So that was
on the side.
Broom into the side of Dickerson. Thankfully, sort of no harm, no foul. Broom, the instigator, and Broom easily who came off the worst.
He's gone from He's gone from one three-way battle to another.
Yeah, now he's got Wong right up behind him.
That was an odd one, wasn't it?
I think he just
on the curb.
Yeah, I think he just touched the grass.
Yeah, and it just speared him across. Because the right wheels were braking and the left wheels not so much, so just speared him across.
Oh, Chuck's got a nice run out of there.
He's
No point.
there, Chuck.
Tell you what, there's no point holding back in the last lap, is there? Going into Lake Calm, we've said before, will they attack or will they fuel save? You're not going to fuel save on the last lap unless you're in dire straits. So look for Wong to launch the attack, but not quite close enough, was he? I think the BMW just having more grunt down the straight, perhaps running less wing as well.
Dench just set his fastest lap of the race that last time round, 2:17.368. Still
Slow down for
That's
Dickerson.
Oh no. Matty Dench. Just supreme again. He's dangled the carrot out there for Mitchum, and Mitchum is down to 1.1 seconds, but it won't be enough. Great racing. Mitchum will still be scratching his head going, what more do I have to do to get this bloke? But that's the challenge that's set every week we come out to play GT3, is who's going to do their best to catch him, and they're all doing their best to try and catch him, but brilliant work from Dench. Mitchum 2, Gliss at 3, McLaughlin has disappeared already, so he came in 4, Cox in 5, Holgerson, Arnott, Wood, Knight and Hewitt. Good result for Hewitt, up 3 to 10th place. Jared Knight up 7 to 9. Then it's Hayne. I think a lot of these guys are still travelling. Hayne in 11, Jewel in 12, Carew 13, David 14, Matthew Broom 15, and Chuk Fong Wong 16, unless he makes a liar out of me through here.
No, nobody throwing it away at the final corner. They're going to cross the line as they were on entry. So you're safe. You're safe. You haven't jinxed anything.
And then Dawson, Dickerson, Martin, Birchnell. First of the Ferraris, Daniel Birchnell up in 20th spot after being unceremoniously punted much earlier on in the evening. But as Mr. Dench says, good stuff. Well done, Matt Dench. He's certainly, as I said earlier, he's set himself a challenge this year in the McLaren, and to this point, he has risen to it.
Yeah, he certainly has, doing a superb job. Definitely under a bit more pressure, I think, than is normal in the GT3. So the McLaren perhaps evening things out just a tad, but it's just too good, isn't he? Doing too good a job for anyone to overtake him, and that's Chiplin just diving into the pits on the final lap to make sure he gets that to the end.
Well, if he's trying to serve a penalty for user points, that's not going to help him.
No.
We get the 40 seconds at the end. He won't miss him.
No, it's pretty good at not missing you. Oh, that was good. That was a good run around Spa. And not too many horrendous situations. It'll be interesting. I think we had race control in there, and we certainly didn't see any penalty for Dench in that early stage. Good work, Oscar Reese and Chippo for Side Hustle Racing. Yes, indeed. So generally pretty good out there. I thought that was a well-run race and most enjoyable.
Yeah, it was a really good race, wasn't it? It had a lot of tactical intrigue. We pointed out at the beginning that there likely would be some different tactics playing out, and we were right. We had the intrigue of McLaughlin going for that late early stop. We had Denchi short fueling, and then the question was, could he short did he short fuel to get track position? And if so, what was the invoice? Was he going to pay an invoice later on? And instead, it just proved too good. A faster stop than McLaughlin. It'll be interesting to find out why McLaughlin had that 16-second stop in his second stop. It likely didn't cost him the victory, but it may have cost him a spot on the podium, finishing within a second of Gleiser and Mitchum, only 2 seconds down the road. Really close between the four of them. So a really good battle between 4 cars throughout the entirety of the race. And yes, Dench did come out the victor, and before the race you would have said who you put your money on. You would have put it on Denchy, but definitely had some sideways movement on the way there. It wasn't all his own going. Had to sacrifice a few pawns to get the victory in the end.
Yeah, and good to see 2 weeks in a row now. Richard Mitchum's been able to get that 1 lap pace to get the pole position, so he is closing in on him, and to finish just less than 1.5 seconds behind Matthew after the hour long that we ran. I certainly feel like he's made some ground, and as we suggested, that could be in part due to the cars. Brock Kelly went out 23 laps after previous, so that was that incident, and there appeared to be a racing incident. But as I said, you just can't join safely until the rest of the field has pretty much passed you by, which is so frustrating when he'd finished up on the second row, I think. Well, first row. But, yeah.
Eventually, Kelly would go on to retire, having only run 23, having run only a few laps of the race.
Yeah, he obviously felt that was enough for him to not want to battle through, but very unfortunate.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. It would have been good to have him involved in making it a 5-car battle, but he'll have his moment when he'll have plenty of opportunities throughout the season to try and get one over on Matty Dench and the rest of those at the front of the field, Mitchum, Glasser and McLaughlin.
Yeah, no, he's certainly got the car pace. He's plenty quick. It's just a matter of getting that little bit of luck, and often when you come in amongst an established group of fast drivers at the front, you have to earn a little bit of respect as you go along. So I think he'll have certainly done that with his outright pace. But Liam, we've got a guest in the booth.
Oh, we certainly do, and as always, we've been joined in the booth by our round winner, Matty Dench. Dench, first question I want to ask you is, can you just walk us through that race from a tactical perspective?
Well, from the first pit stop, I was on 14x. I was just trying to maintain pace while not going another X.
Wow, 14 after the first stint. You've only got 15 for the entire race, yes?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So 4X would have been that contact with Brock Kelly at the first corner. How did you see that incident?
That ended up being 3x, a 2x for him spinning and running off track. So yeah, that was a 3x there. I expected to be like take a 1x on the exit of the first turn, but I kind of went a little bit tighter on the exit of the apex, thinking Brock was going to be a bit tighter, but as soon as he touched the throttle, he just went straight out to the left. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we saw that as well. In my mind, he caught a little bit of that inside curve as well, and it just understeered him out into the front of you.
Yeah, so like we were like, even if he didn't understeer, we were always going to touch and rub a bit. But yeah, it's just one of those things where iRacing just sometimes the cars go straight, sometimes they eject to the left.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to characterise that. And then you took that short stop at the first pit, so thinking there just to get clean air, make sure you don't give yourself the best opportunity not to get another 1x.
Just trying to get a couple of new bits of rubber on the tyre so I don't spin the car. Honestly, it was quite the handful in those high-speed corners.
Well, that's the only way to make a McLaren go fast, isn't it? Is to put it right on the edge.
Yeah, I tried the VRS set. I was spinning on the outlap everywhere. So.
Oh dear. Oh dear. But yeah, you've set yourself a bit of a challenge this season with the McLaren, and we were just saying a little while ago. So far, you've lived up to and brought yourself up to the challenge. Was it a race pretty much, I guess you've already said, with only one X hanging over your head? There was plenty of management going on there.
Yeah, I don't think the McLaren had the outright pace to, at least not in terms of doing consistent laps anyway. Yeah, it was just super dangerous, so you had to be pretty careful in the middle of the course there.
Yeah, excellent. Were you worried at all that McLaughlin might pose a threat? He won that lap longer in the first stint, and then followed you into the pits. Were you surprised when the gap grew after that second stop?
I thought I underfueled in that second stop quite a bit because there was a couple of laps there where my fuel calculator was telling me I was a lap short, so I was getting a bit worried.
Oh dear. And do you think that was erroneous data, or do you think that was telling the truth and you just had to manage it that much more?
Usually the fuel calculator, you can flick between like one lap extra if you sort of pick up the pace, and it's like right on the bubble of going the extra lap. So yeah, we needed to keep the pace up, but to keep Mitchum out of draft there, but we didn't want it to go the extra lap for sure.
So you needed to go as fast as you could, as slow as you could.
Yeah, basically, I had to keep him out of draft range for that last lap. So you got to pick up the pace, but then you can't push too hard.
Yeah, because he closed it down quite a bit over the last couple of laps, and we thought it might have been a last lap or an extra lap issue, but timing-wise, that wasn't appearing to be the case. But no, good day out, and you've certainly got some good competition this time round. Richard having set 2 pole positions 2 weeks out. Glissett is right in there. If Brock Kelly had hung in there and had an uneventful first lap, I think he would have been there or thereabouts. McLaughlin and Cox. There's a good group of you that any one of you will have your day in the sun, I should think.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of quick people, so yeah, a lot of rounds left, and a lot of points up for grabs. So it should be fun.
Yes, indeed. And just looking to see what races we have coming up. Adam's probably madly doing the points. So next week will be Zolder for a sprint round. That's going to be one of your favourite rounds of the season, would it not be, Matthew?
Yeah, nice challenging reverse top 10, and yeah, Zolder's pretty fun track. The McLaren probably be all right there, I think. So.
Nice and nimble, and rode Atlanta in August, another sprint round. So two sprint rounds coming up, and then a whole bunch of those longer, more flowing open tracks. Phillip Island with a few challenges thrown in as well. And then finishing off with a big 90-minute at Road America.
Yeah, I think Zolder will be a decent round, but the following 3 rounds after that's going to be a bit of a struggle for McLaren, I would think. Okay,
well, the other boys will be kind of pleased to hear that, I should think. Any advantage they can get on you will be greatly received, I should think.
Yeah, we'll just have to look at points and just try and grab what we can in those rounds, and hope it's enough by the end of it.
Yeah, it's a matter of trying to make your bad rounds as good as possible to suffer the least ignominy, and keep as much up your sleeve as you can have for drop rounds for that later part of the season.
Yeah, that's right.
Well done, sir. Another good outing for yourself. They made you work for it, and you made us work for it. There's plenty of conjecture going up in here, and we're probably overthinking it to a very great extent. But it's always good trying to figure out exactly what it is you're up to, Mr. Dench, and it's always fun to have an analysis of the evening, and always lovely to chat with you in the booth.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done, and say hi to your mum and dad for us.
Will do.
He's out in regional Western Australia, is he? The old boy.
Yeah, they're out there with the caravan and some gold detectors and having a bit of fun. So
Aussie gold hunters. Good on them. I hope they strike it rich.
If they want gold, they should just look at your trophy cabinet.
Yes, indeed. Well done, sir. We'll let you get off to the evening's adventures, and we'll look forward to seeing you about. Oh, there's Zach Caben. He's lifted his head off his pillow and liked the stream. So, what's that? Oh, yeah, so well done. Josh Swino, the boys in AM were on their best behaviour, very clean race with a great fight up the pointy end. So here we go, we've got Matty Scholes took that one out from Alex Schmidt.
Only 3/10 in at the end.
Wow. Wow, that's close. That was a draft fest. Matty Scholes having set the fastest lap of the race at 2:18.197. Fastest lap of the race for us was 2:17 flat, pretty much. Jacob Hughes picked up the bronze, and then Ben Woods, Ian Hansen, Sean Rees, Adam Holland, Stephen Gallagher, Neil Gladwin and Kevin Coleman were the top 10, followed by Eldridge, Schmidtke, Heaney, Sharp, Snadden, Wooden and Francone. So nice work from our AM split. And when are we next seeing the AM split broadcast, Adam?
Next week.
Next week. Oh, we'll look forward to it. And I saw, I believe, you're going to do a couple of weeks with race one of the sprints will be AM.
That is the next 2 weeks, I think.
Right, yeah. So we'll see the AM split for the first race, and we'll see the pro split for the second race. So that's going to be a busy night for young A. Lavis, pushing the buttons behind there and jumping out in between heats. So it'll be very interesting to see how that all works. And I know the AM split guys love having their broadcasts, and it's always good to see them as well. With as always, massive thanks to Waste Options who bring us these wonderful events.
Yeah, I always enjoy watching the amateurs, and it's great that we can share the love around when we can. It's almost a shame that we can't show both, because the racing in the amateur split is often just as entertaining as in the pro split, and you can get a little bit more carnage because they're just a little bit more prone to a mistake than some of these guys at the front. So it's always a joy when we can bring them to you, and we can only do that thanks to our good friends at Waste Options, who sponsor the GT3 Championship. But they're only one of the sponsors for the club. Of course, they're the title sponsor for the Waste Options GT3 Championship. But the other sponsors are across the top of your screen now. So we've got Flash Graphics, Astute Financial Insurance and Wealth, Orbic, who of course sponsored the first race of the night, the GT4s. We've also got Blackout Electrical Solutions, who sponsor the Porsche Cup. Login Systems, who sponsor the Endurance Championship. Astute Financial Insurance and Wealth, Fisher Door Lawyers, Flash Graphics.
And that's about it. Yeah, no, we greatly appreciate their ongoing support, and by way of broadcasts, we could certainly do with some more broadcasters and commentary folk. If you're ever keen to put your hand up to have a bit of a gibber on the screen, or bring us the broadcast, Adam is incredibly good at setting up everything you need to bring a broadcast. And Daniel Saar is a new member to the club, and he's bringing us our Thursday night broadcast this year. That's Daniel Correa Saar, and we're very grateful to have him on. It looks at the moment it might be just via YouTube, but I'm sure the boys will sort that out as they go. And of course, Sam Chapman on an enduro will often team up with the inimitable Liam Banks to bring us large swathes of those broadcasts. So if you are a broadcaster, or even if you've got an interest in maybe seeing how you go, we'd love to have a bigger pool of people who can help out and this is from the bloke who finally gave it away at the end of last season, and I just felt like I needed a bit of a break, but we'd love to have some more support in the broadcasting and commentary circles.
Yes, yeah. Daniel hasn't got a Facebook, so you won't be able to do the broadcast directly to Facebook. But I'm hoping that by posting the YouTube link on our Facebook page, it'll either, hopefully, fingers crossed, might play live for us. But at least then, when our normal Facebook guys will have a link straight to the YouTube channel to be able to come and watch us on a Thursday.
Excellent. And Daniel Sol also a brilliant commentator, so he's an absolute gem to have uncovered. And he just put his hand up, joined the club to race, and then said, "Oh, by the way, I've actually done some producing and commentating, a lot of it in the past, and we got him involved, and it's great to have him on board. Of course, you don't need to commit if you just want to give it a one-off and see if you enjoy it. There's no need to commit to doing one-on-one. You can just do that if you just fancy. You know what? I will join you in the commentary booth for the endurance this weekend or something like that. Do just reach out. We can always organise that. It's just hopping into the Discord and really having a chat with your friends and talking about the racing. So it's great fun, and there's no need to feel like it's a big commitment. And as Grant said, the more hands we can get on deck, not just for the broadcasting, not just for commentary, but also for race control, for actually running the series as well.
Well, not only that, also we have the AGM coming up at the end of next month too. So good time for some of the guys, because the club obviously doesn't run without the volunteers, and so you're actually interested in getting in and helping out and being a part of the committee. We are definitely looking for some fresh blood for the upcoming year once we get to the AGM. So if you're interested, there'll be, I believe, John Simpson's working on the nominations form as we speak. So hopefully either this week or next week that should go out. And if you want to have a crack and come and join us in the meetings, we'll be happy to see you. So have a think about it and come and have a go.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the day, many hands make for light work. And the more volunteers we get involved, the more those volunteers can in turn race themselves.
It's one of those things. It's a non-profit club, so the club doesn't work without volunteers. So we need people to like, you don't have to commit a massive amount of time, just help us out and do what you can, and we'll try and cater to what you can do for us.
And like most sporting clubs, the more you get involved with it, the more satisfaction you often get, regardless of what you're doing. You feel involved in it, and it really is a sporting club, even though we're doing it all virtually. It's always been a good bunch of guys, and we always need help.
It's things like you end up not only pride in your own sort of racing, but you end up getting pride in other people that you've helped along the way.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We've done sponsors. What'll we do next? We'll have a look at let's have a look at merchandise. GSRC kit from merch.tgsrc.inc or gsrcmerch.myshopify.com, and that's where you can do all your membership as well, whether you want to sign up for a very low fee for the endurance series alone, a single season, or a whole season. I think a season is worth about $39-40.
So it's 35 for the year. 35 for the year, $12.50 for just the season. That's that gives you option to all our weekly races and the enduros. But if you've got a friend who's only going to help you out with the enduros, they can jump in for $7.50 and just do the enduros for the year.
$7.50 for what's that, about 10 or 11 races?
I think it's 10. It's 5 per season, 5 enduros per season. Plus, we also have a couple of special events here and there. Like we'll probably do a Bathurst 1000, for example, and a Bathurst 12 hour maybe next year type thing. So a couple of little like one-off ones like that. So you get anywhere from 10 to 12 endurance races per year.
Yeah, fantastic. And so that's around probably, at a guess, 60 hours of racing just of enduros. So keep an eye out for all that. Do all your membership there, as well as order some merchandise. So that's merchandise. Here you go. This is your baby, Liam. So tell us a bit about this.
Yeah, so for this season, we've ditched the 8-hour races, keeping the races a little bit shorter. They're all going to finish at the same time, so they'll all finish at, I believe it's 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So it'll be the start time that varies throughout the season.
Don't get Zach started.
I won't get Zach started. Obviously, it'll vary a bit more if you're in Queensland. No, and then round one's at Monza, so we've got 4 hours of Monza to kick it off. And it's a bit of a best of this season. So previously taken pride in not having repeat tracks, taking us to new locations, new challenges for the drivers. But this season, because of slightly poor numbers last season, and I think just having done a few now and getting through most of the best tracks, decided to change things up. So we've got 5 of the best tracks on the service: Monza, Road America, Road Atlanta, Nürburgring, and Le Mans. And it's going to be multi-class for the first time, LMDH, alongside the GT3s. So please do get involved. Please make sure that we get the numbers to make this a brilliant series. Last year it was phenomenal. Particularly the second season last year was incredible. First season this year has had some brilliant racing at the front. Just not the depth of field, only about 15 cars for that season, but we're hoping for more the second season, and why wouldn't we have more when you've got such a magnificent calendar?
And it's minimum of 2 drivers? Or is it minimum
of 2. So yes, you can have 2. You can have 3 if you want. It's up to you.
Yep.
But at least 2 drivers per car, per race.
Brilliant. Yeah, and my team always has 3, so that I can do commentary as well.
Ah, you're a good man, Liam Banks.
It's a big day. It's a big day.
Yes, indeed.
And we experimenting with having the time sped up as well. So you can see that on the graphic. Round 3, 12 hours of Road Atlanta. The 6 hours of Road Atlanta will be times 2 speed to make it the 12 hours of Road Atlanta. And the 6 hours of Le Mans will be times 4 speed to make it resemble an iconic race in the real world.
So
I'm sure you can put that together yourself.
That's the clock travelling at an enhanced speed, so that gives you sunrise to sunrise, or 24 hours.
The cars won't be going times 4 speed. The clock will be.
Yeah, Le Mans normally starts like 4:15 in the afternoon and finishes around the same time. So
yeah,
they only give us the options of 1, 2, 4, and 8 because it'd be nice to have a 3 there because then you could do the Nürburgring 12 hour as well.
Wonderful.
But apparently it's 16 for this one. Right, and this week on the GRCs.
Right, so tomorrow night, Up and Comers series. That's for our less experienced club members, those with a lower I rating, somewhere you can go and be competitive and really learn your craft. From everything I hear, it's a really popular series with a really good vibe. So get involved there, and it's Formula V's at Monza Junior, so that will be great fun. As Adam said earlier, that will be an absolute slipstream fest, and it will resemble one of those funky Formula E races that we've been having recently in the real world. Then on Wednesday we have got Formula Ford and V8 supercars. Formula Ford coming to you from mid-Ohio, and the supercars coming to you from Circuito de Jerez. So yeah, that'll be spectacular. The supercars around any track are always a real challenge. They're a really difficult beast to tame. So that'll be a really interesting race to watch. And then the Formula Fords, they're the new skippies. They're so good to race side by side in. And if you just want a fun race, those 3 sprint races, get involved. That'll be the one to do, I believe. And then on Thursday, we're back to having a broadcast, thanks to Daniel Saar, I believe. So we'll be bringing you the Production Car Challenge, which this week is TCR from Brands Hatch. And then the Porsche Cup from Virginia International Raceway. And I believe we'll be bringing the... that's still a combined split, isn't it?
Yes.
So both the Open and the Elites will be broadcast because they'll be racing on the same track. And it will be a multi-split race there.
Unfortunately, as we said, Daniel was planning on doing the broadcast last week at Donington. And unfortunately, he couldn't get in. And it was a bit unfortunate because it was a very entertaining race. In the first race, we had cars all going everywhere. Then we had elite guys trying to work their way back through all the open guys, and it was a hectic race. And then the second race was just as good. It was actually a really good race last week. So, the Porsche Cup coming alive.
And we've just been joined in the booth by Richard Mitchum to help us pad out until we can bring you the updated points. How are you going, Richard?
Yeah, not too bad. It's a pretty good race. actually was saying I did an hour's running without any overtakes, but it was quite an interesting race nevertheless.
Wait,
Still could not beat Dench though.
not a single overtake the whole race.
No, I ran in 4 different positions, but all through pit stops.
Pit stops.
Yeah, so I ran first, second, third, and fourth throughout the race.
You feel like you're a little bit closer to Matthew, Richard? You've snaffled pole the last 2 weeks in a row. It seems to us that you might have closed the gap a little.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be away the next 3 weeks, and after last week, that means the championship's out the running. So decided to give the Merc a run because it's a pretty quick round here, but still had 1.4 seconds on me after an hour. So frustrating. We were catching him. I was catching him at the end, but not quite enough. I think if I got in the tow, but even that McLaren's rapid down the straight. So even if I did get there, overtaking wasn't going to be super easy.
He was really quick through the bus stop chicane at the end as well. That's
he really was.
He was like 3/4 of a second faster than anyone around him every time he came to there. And that makes it really, really hard to get by. But no, it was a really interesting race, and it's unfortunate for your racing that you'll miss a couple of weeks. But I'm sure you're off around the world somewhere. Hopefully not to a fire zone.
Greece is actually on my itinerary in 2 weeks. So including Corfu, which is just started getting on fire. So I might be doing some replanning. At the moment, we weren't planning on going that far north there, but yeah, I'm supposed to be there in about a week and a half. So
shout out to all the people who are going through such a horrible time over there, and I hope it doesn't impact your plans. But you're taking the family with you.
Yeah, it's going to be good, and also see my family back in the UK.
Oh, excellent, good. All right, Liam, got anything further for Richard?
I wanted to ask, do you think there's anything you could have done strategy-wise? Could you, was 11 laps in that first stint an option, stretch it to 22 and maybe short fuel, or were you on the limit of fuel savings? Were there any surprises in the race, seeing others take different strategies that you thought, I thought they were fuel saving more or fuel saving less?
I could have been quicker at the start, I think. If I'd managed to get Oscar out of my tow, I think that might have made a little bit of a difference. But I mean, maybe not, because if I got him out, he wasn't as quick in the straight line. But I think if he dropped out of my tow, it probably would have helped Denchi, if anything, because it would have he would have been able to fuel save a bit more. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really know who I was racing, whether it was Oscar, whether it was Sean's always good at fuel saving, whether it was going to be Denchi.
Brock Kelly, unfortunately, went out first corner, La Source.
Yeah, we had a look at that. There was a debate in the Discord on who's to blame, or whether it was a racing incident. But don't know. There was no race control, so it'll be interesting to see that one. But yeah, I think drive a bit quick is probably the answer, Lim. A few less mistakes, right? I think if I could have got in the tow with a few laps to go. Who knows? No, I didn't do any fuel saving at all the first stint because I wanted to try and break the tow, but didn't quite get out of there. So maybe if I dropped behind, but I mean, it probably. I'm not sure. I think we.
Yeah, you were so close to breaking the toe as well. But I kept thinking it was going to happen, and then it just never quite materialized. So I can see why you didn't want to give up on that strategy and try and save fuel.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, if I had a second lead for the most of it, or at least 6-7 tenths. So I mean, if I'm going to let him past and drop behind, you're giving away a second and a half just by that point.
Yeah, so, I think it's up to 1.4 at one point.
You need to save a couple of litres, 2 or 3 litres, then just to get that 1.5 seconds back that you're giving off, letting them pass. So I think if he was right up behind me, it'd be a bit different story, but the opportunity never really presented.
So the answer is really apply the two fundamentals of racing is go faster and slow down less.
Yes. Yeah, I think.
I
think it's just. I could have found half a second right in driving quite easily through there. throughout an hour, of course, right? So a few less 1/10 mistakes, right? And you're in the tow and giving yourself a chance on that last couple of laps.
Yeah, and then you've got to find about 5 seconds in the pit stops that Denchi seems to be able to just jag from nowhere.
Well, I mean, he obviously short filled the first stop, right, which got him a big jump.
Yeah, a couple of seconds.
So he was 2 laps less in the second stint than I was. I managed to do 2 laps after that, so I was expecting to be closer coming out. But even with that 2 laps that I did extra, I think I only gained. I think I went into the pits 3.1 behind him and came out like 2.5. So I gained like 0.6 after 2 laps. So I'm not even quite sure what happened there. I think the Mert's got a slightly bigger tank.
Yeah, you're 1.6 seconds quicker in that last pit stop, 11.6 to 13.23. But yeah, look, he just seems to have some magic somewhere in those pits. He stops for less time and still gets home. But anyway, it is what it is with Matthew Dench, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's good to have a bar that high that's been set, though, right? I think it pushes everyone to find those extra few tenths, which you might not otherwise. But it was a good race. I mean, it's all pretty close, right? I mean, after an hour,
Yeah.
Just looking at results, 4 seconds over the foot.
Yeah. 1.4 to you. There was 1.4 back to Oscar, and then 3/4 of a second back to Sean. So yeah, absolutely cracking race.
Yeah, and we took quite a few. I took quite a few tyres throughout the race as well. So I think that was a big decision, kind of when to take tyres. I was half thinking about short fueling the first stint to try and break the tow and do some solo running, but I think probably made the right decision, dropping back and saving a load of fuel and saving tyres for that middle stint. So I think strategy went pretty well.
So 2 tyres at each of the stops?
No, 3 tyres at the first one and 1 at 3 and 1. So I fully fueled the first stint.
Right. Copy that. Yeah, because three will cover fuel will cover 3, but it won't cover 4. And there's only 1 fresh set of tyres. Is that right, Adam?
I'm not even sure.
There is meant to be, but I think I've got to go through and fix that because I think I missed it when I was with the setup, so I've got to go through and change the service. But there is only meant to be 1.
1 extra set for apart from what you start on. Yeah.
Which would have worked fine anyway. I took 3 and 1, but I think that was all the fuel time kind of gives you anyway. So it's unless you want to be sat in the pits, you're not going to take any more than 4. So you don't necessarily even need to limit it. Yeah.
Only that you could put new like 3 on the first time and 3 on the second, and the idea is
no, because you put a lot less. You put a lot less fuel in the second time.
Yeah. But the idea is that you only have one extra set of tyres. It's a cost saving measure. That way we're not travelling as many virtual tyres around the virtual world.
Maybe we should regionalise the calendar as well.
Yeah, have shorter races so we're not using as much fuel. I don't know, but glad you had a good time and you're off on holidays. So hope the world's a gentle place for you wherever you end up. So thank you very much for popping in and chatting with us, Richard.
Cheers, Grant, Liam, Adam, as always. Take it easy.
Richard.
Right.
All right, how are we going for points?
Well, we didn't quite finish our thing, did we? We got through that part. No, that's the second part. I'll do this one, Adam. Wings and Slicks is Formula 3 from Watkins Glen Boot, starting at 8:15. 2 sprint races Saturday. The USF 2000 open wheeler from Bathurst, as Mountain Men is always from Bathurst. Race start 8:30, 32 laps. Always the same, and brings us full circle to next Monday night's broadcast, where we hope to have the inimitable golden tonsils of Zach Caden back, also hopefully for this Thursday. That's interesting. GT4 challenge, and it's
GT4's at Circuit de Jerez. Thanks to the comment for correcting us. I always I know it's Jerez. But whenever I see it, it just doesn't.
Jerez, yeah.
I say Jerez. My mind's going Jerez, and then Jerez comes out. So it's
You know why it's Jerez in Spain? Is one of the kings had a lisp, and so whenever he said anything with an S in it, it was a TH, and so the whole nation caught on, and that's why Spanish people lisp their S's. There you go. Useless fact. Race starts 7:35, 25-minute race as always, and then, as Matty Dench said, the Circuit Zolder race start 8:45 p.m. 2 sprints. The first sprint will be the AM split, and the second split will be the Pro split. And just to raise Zach's blood pressure a little bit, all times shown are Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's about it, isn't it, Liam? What have we left out? I don't think we've left out much at all.
Just points if we've got points.
I'm not quite finished yet. But probably I'll go GT4 points.
Oh, we can look at the GT4 points. Why not?
Sam Muir, nicely well done. Up one, Favell down one. Gary Cousins, Nick Fodiatis, the Aussie racers, they're right in there, aren't they? Then Jared Knight, Sam Chapman. What a travesty for poor old Sam tonight. Pole position, and then to run out of internets. That's terribly bad luck.
Yeah, he's on for a Grand Slam.
It was early days, and I think Michael Hammond might have brought something to the party. But look, it's one of those things that just gets right up your nose, doesn't it? But look, Michael Hammond up 17 spots with that win tonight. Of course, didn't race last week, and he'll be looking forward to dropping that after round 6 or 7. So he's going to be right in there, I should think.
Yeah, it's going to be really... I think this is going to be a really tight battle all year. And you don't rule out... Like, there's an obvious battle pack with Muir, Favell, Cousins, Fodiatis towards the front. But you don't rule out the likes of Chapman, Malcolm, Patterson, Hammond, Daniel Saar even going on a run and really making the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be very interesting to see, and as always with these championships, it's the consistency that's the key. So it's great to see such good fields for the GT4s. As we've discussed previously, the GT4 has almost earned its right to be a main course in Zach's parlance, but the combo of GT4 followed by GT3 is just a little bit a little bit too compelling to break up the family.
It just makes sense, doesn't it? Just makes sense. And I believe we had something else we were going to show.
I think there was the almost complete GT3 points, which are not quite ready. And poor old Adam, he does such a good job. Oh,
there we go.
He got there. Look at that.
So Denchi really extending his lead out front to 30 points now. Simon Cox in second on 134. Nick Wood on 123. Cox and Wood both up a slot. Brock Kelly, the big loser out of that, he looked like he was Denchi's main challenger coming into the night, but definitely taking what will be one of his drop rounds, so it won't hurt him as much as it looks like now, but it's dropped him almost 70 points behind Matty Dench. So yes, there's a DNF there, but putting him on the back foot at the end of the first third of this season. And look at that. Yep. Look at all those Porsches.
I know, the Porsche Cup. But Chuk Fung Wong representing the Lamborghini very nicely, and I think Chuk just came up from Am-Split last season, so great job by him to be running so competitively. Really good to see.
Yeah, and you can see Sean McLaughlin, one of the stars of the race, down in 18th. But it's his first race of the season, so he's actually much higher than those rankings would suggest. Once you account for DNRs, that is of course assuming that he's able to complete the rest of the season. So there you go. There's the standings for the Pro Series. And do we have standings for AM or not? Is that a step too far?
Haven't even started.
Yeah, step too far.
Too far.
That's okay. So we'll wrap up for the night. Thanks to our sponsors for the GT3 season, Waste Options. Absolute pleasure to have you on board. Pleasure to bring you this broadcast. Zach, if you're still watching, get well soon, mate. Looking forward to having you back on Thursday and back in the booth for GT4s and GT3s next week. Grant, it's been a pleasure commentating alongside yourself. Not too often we get the pleasure. We always seem to miss each other, but it's always wonderful when we do.
Yeah, absolutely, and for a bloke who was supposed to be stepping back from broadcasting and commentary, this is 2 weeks in a row, and I think I've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks as well. But no, it's nice to be able to help out when I can, and likewise, it's always great to share your wisdom and knowledge about the racing and bring it to our fine viewers of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Whether you're a racer or just a watcher, it's a pleasure bringing you these broadcasts. I'll be back in the booth next Monday for the GT3s. Grant's going to be back in a couple of weeks for his next broadcast. Adam's on just about every broadcast these days. So you'll see Adam again shortly. From all of us here and everyone else at the GSRC, thank you and good night.